ladies and gentlemen, your Series 8 Week 8 champion, Connor Scott.
That's exactly what he needed.
Banks pins the 110 to bring it back to 3-2.
And it's a 3-2 lead for Blom. I think he's got to win the next leg.
What a recovery after dart one.
Very well planted. Back in this match now. Just what the doctor ordered.
Tom Lonsdale.
Hello, good evening. Welcome along to the Modus Super Series. Saturday night is money night here at the Live Lounge in Porto. It might be SummerSlam in the WWE, and we're going to see who is going to tap out of here as the champion. And we're going to watch all the action this evening in the company of the asset Paul Nicholson, as we have done all week long. And it's been an interesting week, hasn't it? Not everybody maybe have played at their best at all times throughout the course of the 5 days, but there's been moments from everyone.
Yeah, I think so. Scott Mitchell would definitely say that. He hasn't played well for the last couple of nights, but he puts in the big average to send the statement to the rest of the field ahead of Saturday night. I think everybody's got a highlight from the week. People will say that they've played better when they've been here before, but the thing about getting to Saturday night, it's about giving yourself the chance. 6 players have still got that chance, 6 players haven't.
Well, these are the 6 that are going to be in action tonight, vying for the top prize and a place through to Champions Week. It's a bit of a cosmopolitan mix, but also a mix of players that have had success here before, but also players that are looking to have that real tangible success on that stage.
Yeah, I think when you look at some of the players, like Connor, for instance, he always makes Saturday. I think he might not express the pride of being someone who's got a perfect record of making Saturdays, but deep down, he'll think, I want to be that person who always makes a Saturday, but now he needs to have a better conversion rate of titles to Saturdays qualified for. And that's what tonight is all about. He won his last Saturday night in qualifying for a Champions Week. He'd like to keep that going, but there are other people there who haven't got anywhere near his level of experience who would like exactly the same.
Well, Heahan was the first player who made it through to tonight's final. He won Group A on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday respectively, pipping Tom Lonsdale on legs difference in the end. And Lonsdale in command of that for a long time. But Heahan getting over the line, didn't play at his best, but did what he needed to do.
We knew pretty soon after, I think it was day 1, that the points total at the end of Wednesday was going to be quite low. Everybody was beating everybody, and in the end, you've got someone in Tom Lonsdale who almost won the group with a negative leg difference, which is something we can't really comprehend. But Heahan did some good things at some good times, and in particular against one of his closest challengers in Lonsdale, he owned that head-to-head at the right times, and I think that's what got him over the line in the end.
What would be your overall assessment of Tom Lonsdale's week? Because it started well in Group A. Day 1 was very promising, but then as the days went along, I don't know, but something happened, didn't it?
Yeah, I do get the feeling that he wasn't able to, I think the word remember is something I used last night. He couldn't remember what he was doing right on Monday, and he didn't replicate it throughout the week. I think if he had remembered some of these intricate things in his game very well for, say, Tuesday, Wednesday, and beyond that, he might have had a better time of it getting up the points that he needs to further himself in the tables. But yet again, he's done enough to get here, but his mindset is completely different to that of Conor Heahan. It's one of, right, I'm not really sure how I'm here, and now he's got zero pressure on himself, whereas with Hino, he has.
Well, Lonsdale made it through Group B in the end, alongside Mike van Duivenbode and Scott Mitchell. Van Duivenbode winning the group, 3 out of 4 wins on both nights. Now, he was a bit of an unknown quantity coming into this week, dropped off the Pro Tour a few years ago, took a bit of time out of the game after that. Coming back this year, his first real time in front of the stage with the exposure of the lights and the cameras. And it looked like he never really was away, did it really?
The raw materials of the player that we know, that is Mike van Duivenbode, it's still there. So that's a good sign. And even if he hadn't qualified for this Saturday night, we would have said, give him more exposure and maybe play a few more tournaments. I get the feeling that the player is still in there, but he has won that group. And let's not forget as well, 2 of our 3 groups this week have been won by the outsider, which is remarkable when you think about it. Now that we have the information about Mike, we expect just a little bit more. And the conditions tonight, I'm not really sure what they're going to be like because it's been really hot over the last few days, but we're going to add a few people out there, and we know what that does to the heat. So we saw him handle the pressure, the situation, and the heat better than anybody else in that group. He might just be springing a surprise tonight.
As far as Scott Mitchell's concerned, it was the curious incident of the dog in the night time, wasn't it? Because his scoring was okay for the large part, but the doubles maybe at key points let him down.
Scott was nowhere near his best this week. But for some reason, towards the end of Group B, he thought, do you know what? I feel good in this game. I'm going to go and average 107. And that's the best winning average we've seen this week by 9 points. The only ton plus average all week long. So if he can cling to that performance and replicate that, he might win tonight easily with all of his experience.
Well, Scott Mitchell, Mike van Duivenbode and Tom Lonsdale making it through Group B. Group C, well, it was the 2 players with B in their name, Thomas Banks and Moreno Blom, who made it through. Now, Banks was the 15-2 fifth favourite out of 6 to make it out of that group. We thought before a dart was thrown on Thursday that they were very long odds. They were made to look silly in the end.
We do know what we're talking about most of the time. Sometimes we can walk around this place with a bit of egg on our face, but we looked at the numbers prior to that group situation and thought, that doesn't look right to us. This time around, it has been proven that we were right and the odds compilers were wrong. We'll get onto more of that a little bit later, of course, but I think Thomas Banks deserves an awful lot of credit. He didn't have a fantastic Group A. It was decent enough as he gradually got better. He actually had the best running average on Tuesday and Wednesday of any player. So the signs were there, and he was able to replicate come Thursday and Friday. He played some great stuff.
Now, he says he's not a prolific maximum hitter, but the stats will prove the other way. And actually, in a lot of games, this got him out of jail. If he was behind in a match, he could just find something like this to put himself back in the equation.
Yeah, he said he's not a big 180 hitter. I don't believe him. I was somewhat cagey when I was sitting in this very chair yesterday, and he was saying, I'm not a big maximum hitter. I don't believe him at all. I think he might have a few mind games for the people in that practice room. The numbers that we will divulge in commentary tonight tell you that he is a maximum hitter. Whether it's just this week and it's sprung him by surprise, it might be the start of him becoming that. Because, let's face it, when you hit more than 30 maximums in a week, you can do it.
As far as Moreno Blom's concerned, he's got this remarkable way of no matter what position he's in on a Thursday night, he can get his way through. It's the second time in a Group C scenario he's finished bottom of the group on night 1 and then gone through on day 2.
In a strange way, I think he enjoys that. I'm not really sure what makes him tick when he wakes up in the morning, but he obviously thrives under pressure. And some players just can't do that, but he can. He found his best starts on Wednesday at the end of Group A. Just left it a bit too late, obviously. But with Group C, he found better darts towards the end. And when he needed to do a job, he did a job. And you've got to respect that because this is not his first Saturday night. It's not his first rodeo in Group C, like you've mentioned. And now that the pressure is at its height, who's to say he can't go all the way?
Well, he is in the mix. He's got a ticket for the raffle, and these are the groups that are going to be in play on Saturday night. Heahan, Scott Mitchell, Moreno Blom in Group 1, Mike van Duivenbode, Thomas Banks, and Tom Lonsdale in Group 2. You would say out of the 2 groups, Group 1 perhaps has a bit more strength in depth.
It does. Connor hasn't played great this week, but still won Group A. He knows how to do these Saturday nights. He knows the intricacies. Mitchell and Blom. It's an interesting game, that one, because you've got someone who is a bit lethargic with the pace, and then you've got the rapid-firing Dutchman. I think that game could tell us who joins Heahan in the semi-finals. It has got more strength, in my opinion. Maybe Group 2 is a bit easier to forecast.
Are you ready to see the odds?
Let's have a look.
Because all week long, they have really intrigued us, and it's going to intrigue you again, because we were saying yesterday evening, we think Thomas Banks would be the favourite for tonight. He's a 9-1 joint outsider.
Again, it's wrong. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to pussyfoot around this. Lonsdale being a shorter price than Banks is ridiculous. Because if you look at the average levels and the consistency between those two, and this is not a slight on Tom Lonsdale, he would admit this to our faces, that Thomas Banks, who won Group C, and he was comfortable in qualifying, apparently he's a bigger outside shot than someone who came through Group B playing their grade Z darts. It's just the way it is. I don't believe in those prices. I think Mitchell being favourite is fair because of his experience, but Conor Heahan, the only winner coming into this week and still here into Saturday night, I think you've got to be looking at those two realistically, but Banks at 9-1 is a joke.
Is the key the fact that we really don't know, where sometimes on a Saturday there's a clear favourite in our minds?
Yeah, sometimes you look at last week, Connor Scott, absolutely nailed on favourite, proved to be the case. And he's someone who goes up there, methodically picks the games apart and does the job. Tonight, we've got a little bit more of a question mark when it comes to each player. Heahan, obviously a winner, been to Champions Week, but not playing his best darts. Mitchell, best player on paper and has the best CV, but hasn't done it here. So it'll be interesting to talk about that later on.
It's 18 plus, speedgambleware.org if you're going to have a flutter on the Super Series this evening. Right, our first game of the session sees Conor Heahan take on Moreno Blom, and early on this evening, both players caught up with Phil Bars.
Moreno, welcome to finals night here at the Super Series. It's been an eventful week for yourself. What can you take away from it?
I'm really happy to qualify for finals night once again. I think I played a bit up and down this whole week in both groups. I think I played great in patches in some games, and but I let myself sometimes down for when I get the opportunity to win a game, like match starts. I missed it in the three first days. I missed a couple of them, and I think otherwise I should have been in Group B. Unfortunately, I go to Group C, but I don't ask me why, but I managed to go through, so I'm really happy that well.
Going into yesterday, you were really up against it because of the Thursday's results. Performances were okay, but the results. Are you the kind of player that needs that pressure to thrive up on the hockey?
I love the pressure. Just when it needs to be on the last moment, last chance, I love it when it comes to small things to go through. Do you know what I mean? Like it's when you are on a point that there's no way back. You only need to win. Then I'm probably at my best. I love the pressure. I just love the pressure.
Well, tonight's going to be a pressure environment up there on that stage. Plenty of people in this evening. Are you hoping to give it your all then in front of the fans?
Yeah. I just love to play in front of some people, and especially here. I love to be here in the Modus. I love it every minute. So hopefully it's going well tonight.
Well, Moreno, wish you all the very best ahead of play.
Good.
Connor, here we are. It's another finals night here at the Modus Super Series. Something that you're becoming accustomed to, but the fact the monkey is now gone, it's a little bit easier now.
Definitely not. It's going to be tough again tonight to get over the line. But looking forward to it, and we'll see what happens.
Your Group A campaign, inconsistent, shall we say. There were some good bits, some bad bits. What did you take away from it?
I was terrible. I'd say it straight up to everyone. I was very, very bad. Just wasn't working, but still got out of the group, thankfully. So, look, we'll move on. Tonight's a different night, and we'll see how it goes. Those 2 days, have you done anything to try and put it right? I went practicing actually yesterday, for a little while, but other than that, just resting up, taking it easy. What would it mean to get to another Champions Week? Yeah, it'd be great, definitely, to do it again. Last time was a good achievement as well, so hopefully to go over and do it again. We've seen your ceiling is incredible, the numbers that you can post. Is it all about finding consistency now within your game? Yeah, that's the main thing. If you can get consistency, you'll win a lot of things. So it's just about finding that, and once you have it, just hold on to it, and we'll see how it goes. Are you a bit of a practice room banter time of play? Do you try and get in their heads before a dart's thrown? Not really. It doesn't bother me. I just like to focus on my own thing, just get into the groove myself, and hopefully bring it on stage then. And long term, what's the ambitions for you? Because we've seen you here plenty now. Is it to kick on and try and give this a real good go? Yeah, 100%. Definitely trying to win this, then go to Q school, hopefully get a tour card and just build on that and see how it goes then. Well, Conor, wish you all the very best ahead of play. Thank you. Achieved most things here. 9 darters, 1 a week now, so This is last on the list. Let's get the name on the trophy.
He gets the job done in the end.
This is a chance to be the winner of Group A, and he knows it. That man right there has won Group A.
He's a popular man in these parts, is Conor Heahan. The crowd have been singing his name as he arrived to the Oki for his match against Moreno Blom. It's the first game of the evening. 9 matches separate somebody from a place in Champions Week. It was Conor Scott last week. Could it be another Conor this week? Or can Moreno Blom make it through to Champions Week for the very first time? Well, it's time to get the action underway. And in the commentary box, it's Paul Nicholson alongside first Phil Bars.
Thank you very much, Henry, and a warm welcome to everyone here on finals night at the Modus Super Series. And Nico, we just been looking at those pictures. The Conor Heahan fan club is certainly in the live lounge this evening.
Aren't they just? Welcome, everybody, and welcome to the Conor Heahan fan club. I'm not even sure I knew they existed before tonight, but they're definitely here. They sound a little bit similar to that of the Jimmy Van Schie fan club, don't they?
I think down here in Portsmouth, there's just a darts
Thank you,
fan
ladies
club
and
base
gentlemen.
developing.
First leg, it's Conor to throw first. Game on!
You can't blame them, Phil. Let's face it. Where else can you go for an admittance fee of £2, get a few drinks in, spend its time with some nice people
27.
and watch some world-class darts? It's the best ticket in town on a Saturday night.
97.
And we have the Group A winner, Conor Heahan, up against the man who loves a comeback in Moreno Blom.
Yeah, not just the best ticket, the only ticket in town here in
45.
Portsmouth on a Saturday night. And I'm interested to see this one, listening to both players, what they said.
85.
Moreno especially about thriving, having to have that pressure. He's got through the round-robin group stage. Now it is all or nothing.
60.
The only person here tonight who has had their fingerprints on the weekly trophy is
99.
Moreno's opponent. So if Conor doesn't do it tonight, we are going to get another first-time weekly winner.
135.
And we're getting very close to Champions Week. If you win tonight, your return to Portsmouth is in the same month.
And already, Moreno has stolen the darts from Heahan. Heahan having the darts because of his Group
64.
A victory.
Moreno, you require
An
99.
early opportunity here. Will it be tops? That was the target. I like the play as well,
59.
Nico.
Conor, you require 170.
Yeah, it was a safe attempt, wasn't it? That would have got people off their seats if he'd hit that.
130.
He gets the setup.
Moreno, you
But
require
Blom is there
40.
first. Double 5.
35.
This time it doesn't get him out of jail
Conor, you
because it
require
has
40.
at times this week.
Yeah, the dart at tens was wild as well. Heahan now comes back. It is beloved tops. Now he's chasing to tens. Oh,
No
wild.
score. Moreno,
Both
you
of them
require
nerves out here
5.
early.
3.
And it continues.
Conor, you require 40.
Both under 33% on doubles this week.
An early opportunity passed up from
First
Moreno.
leg.
Heahan pins tops. It's a hold.
Second leg. It's Moreno to throw first.
Got excited.
Game on.
Yeah, referee called it right. It's got to stay there.
100.
There are no mulligans in darts. You know this, Moreno.
Yeah, well done from Jack Garwood there.
Yeah, Moreno's
99.
average for the week, 84.12, is actually better than Conor's. This week
95.
can be categorised as not the highest of standards, but other qualities have been needed. And let's face it,
97.
Moreno Blom, whereas he's not played his best darts like some others here on finals night this week,
99.
he has been maybe the mayor of being able to get it done the most difficult way.
126.
Yeah, we look at Thursday as the table went to bed. He looked in a world of trouble, but
96.
produced some brilliant stuff on Friday to get himself out of jail.
Yeah, his points total wasn't that bad. His leg difference was abysmal. But by the end of Thursday, I said on our coverage,
139.
don't count him out yet because he likes this situation. But does he like this? I get the feeling he's not going to like what he sees next.
Connor, you require 40.
Heahan for a break. Remember, he survived break darts in the first leg.
Connor Heahan.
But he does not let Moreno Blom off. It's 2-0 to the Irishman. And already, Blom is staring
Third
down the
leg,
barrel.
It's Connor to throw first. Game on.
Comebacks are great, but on Saturday night, the last thing you want is a very big defeat in your first game. And somebody is getting very warm.
Well, if this is 4-0, 4-1 territory, then Moreno
97.
becomes Connor's #1 fan because he then needs him to go back-to-back against Scott Mitchell.
$125.
Everything is coming up Connor right now. Blom's got to be careful.
56.
And you're right, Phil. If Connor smashes this game out of the park, he does need Connor to beat Mitchell.
100.
For me, this is the more difficult group to call. But as every visit goes by and we see
58.
Heahan
Connor,
stretching
you
his
require
lead,
96.
is it getting easier to read?
Yeah, is Heahan saving his best till last? It was a suspect first leg, but he's now, the average is over 95. He has improved considerably.
And he's not played this well this week.
50.
His best average came at the end of Tuesday.
60.
That was 92 and a
Connor, you
half.
require 46.
So maybe the day's off, or maybe some extra practice. It's got him ready.
26.
And he's not 3-0 up just yet.
He will return though. Moreno Blom just looking to apply some pressure.
43.
But that pressure's not there.
Connor, you require 20. Game set on the third leg.
If he wins the
Connor
next
Heahan.
leg, he's got 1 foot in the semi-finals. You got a brief glimpse there of Scott
Fourth
Campbell.
leg, it's Moreno to throw first.
And he did actually have something to do with Moreno Blom's
100.
participation tonight. Because it was a 4-0 scoreline for Scott Campbell against Simon Adams on Friday afternoon
29.
that gave Moreno Blom this chance. And look at that, they're sitting next to each other.
That infectious smile from
100.
Simon Adams. There they are.
Nice to see them sticking around. They're probably here because they expected to be playing tonight.
135.
And their journeys home, well, 2 of the largest journeys home of any player playing this
100.
week.
I want to get your thought, Paul. In recent weeks, you touched on it with Henry, there's been a clear favourite. Is that
58.
Does that make it easier for a player, one of the others, if there's not one? Because you're always thinking, right, if I get here, I can avoid him, or if I win the group, I avoid him in the
55.
semi-finals. When it's so open, does that make it easier?
Yeah, I think it possibly does. Ask the players from last week,
54. Moreno,
Interview
you
all
require
6 of them,
146.
and they would have admitted that Connor Scott was the favourite. Interview these guys. They have to admit that they don't know.
119.
Well, that didn't go to plan. How often do you see someone leave 27?
Answers on a postcard, because I can't remember.
134.
We would say
Moreno,
messenger
you
pigeon,
require
but
27.
he's coming up in the next game. Double 12. Chance to win the
15.
match 4-0.
Connor, you require
To
91.
have the Connor Heahan fan club on their feet.
91. It's going to be 2 at tops. Can he use that? No, he can't is the
51.
answer.
Moreno, you require 12.
Double 3. It's all gone awry.
No score. Connor, you require 40.
So for a 4-0 whitewash and an absolute hammering, Heahan bags the points in the opener. It is a 4-0 and the fan club goes wild. The Live Lounge atmosphere is electric. Heahan salutes his fan club here in Portsmouth, and the Group A winner has started at some pace, averaging 85.89. Good stuff from Heahan, and that smile says it all. He knows he has 1 foot in the semi-final already because of that leg difference. But after the break, we go into Group 2 and we see Mike van Duivenbode against Tom Lonsdale.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break, Conor Heahan got his campaign for the night off to the perfect start, a 4-0 victory against the quick-fire Dutchman, Blom, who missed 9 darts at a double in that contest. But Heahan holding his nerve, 85 average as well. It was a fair start for the Irishman, and now is within a couple of legs of qualifying through to the semi-finals. Right, our second game of the evening sees 2 players who progress through Group B go head-to-head, as Mike van Duivenbode takes on Tom Lonsdale. Mike making his return to the sport following a time away from the game after losing his tour card in 2020, up against Tom Lonsdale, player who we've seen really glisten under the lights here at the Live Lounge over the past 12 months. Hasn't quite happened as much as he would have liked it to this week. However, he is into the big night. And earlier on this evening, Phil Bars caught up with both players.
Tom, here we are. Finals night of the Modus Super Series. It's been quite an indifferent week for yourself. High highs, low lows. How would you assess it?
I started the week really well. Just missed out Group A to Connor, which was, I thought, oh, okay, well, if you're going to get through to Saturday night, you'd rather play for 5 days than sit in your hotel room for 2 days. So I was like, okay, I'll do my best and keep going. And then it didn't quite happen. We all struggled with the heat a little bit. It's been very hot in here this week, and I think everyone struggled a little bit, but grinded wins. Timing was good, and I'm still here. So happy days. That was my goal at the start of the week, and so you can't grumble out. However I've done it, or it's not been pretty at times, but get over the line, and here we are.
We've seen the eye-catchy stuff from you, the big averages, but at times, like you say there, grinding them out, you get more from that because it's a different part to your game that is there.
Yeah, I think so. I think once you've had a few big averages and you're not like proving stuff to anyone, you're trying to get over the line. And ultimately, averages are great, but getting over the line is the main thing in darts, and that's got to be goal number one for every match you play.
You said it's been hot in here tonight. It's going to be electric as well. Plenty of people in. You're going to put on a bit of a show for the fans?
I'm just going to try and have some fun, Phil. I'm going to have some fun. I've got some guys coming to watch. My partner's here, which is great. Support is always brilliant. So yeah, I'm just going to have some fun and see what happens.
Is it important to make a fast start this evening?
I think so, yeah. I'm in a group with two good guys. And either one of it, all three of us could get through. So just, try my best and see what happens.
Well, Tom, wish you all the very best, mate.
Top man, cheers, Phil.
Mike, welcome to finals night here on debut. Just sum up what that feeling was like winning Group B.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, of course. I'm really happy with the performance, and today's a new day. So,
look, you took some time away from the professional game and the sport in general. What was it like to come back, and did you know where your game was?
It feels really good to come back, especially on a big stage like this. It's my first time ever, I think, and where my game was, I really didn't know, actually. I know I can play well, but I didn't play many games, so I really didn't know what to expect.
When did you make the decision to come back and play properly again?
I think at the beginning of this year, my first tournament I played was the Dutch Open darts, and I played really well, and that's when I decided to play some tournaments this year and see where it gets.
Is the goal to get back on tour where you were before?
Not really. I like to play now more and more, but not full time. Maybe in the future, anything can happen. But right now, I just like it to play sometimes, and it's great for now. So.
Big night tonight for yourself then, finals night, plenty of people in this evening. Are you excited for that prospect?
Yeah, really excited. It's amazing to play for an audience like that and for that many people, so I'm really excited.
Do you feel the game is there to win this evening?
Anything can happen. If I play well, anything can happen, so...
Well, Mike, wish you all the very best.
Thank you very much.
Pigeon is alive and well.
This would stink, Scott, if this tops goes. He's done it again. Back at the big time and playing some great stuff is Mike van Duivenbode, and he is going to be playing his first match in front of a crowd here at the Modus Super Series, landing Saturday night on his debut. He takes on Tom Lonsdale, man who has been here on a Saturday before, and he is hoping to rekindle some good memories too. It's our second match of the evening session, and it's being watched in the company of Paul Nicholson and Phil Bars.
Thank you very much, Henry, and welcome back, everyone. Second game of the evening here and the first in Group 2, and I'm really looking forward to this contest. Mike van Duivenbode against Tom Lonsdale, Paul, and this has all the ingredients to be an absolute belter.
It does, because it's 1-1 between these two over the last couple of nights. We didn't really know what kind of form Mike van Duivenbode was going to be in coming into this week. We have more information now, but what kind of form are we going to get from Tom after the last 5 days?
Game on!
I think that's the more pertinent question. Because at times, he's played well this week. And if I may be brutally honest, he's played some absolute gunk as well.
It has been very Jekyll and Hyde from him. Some of the stuff in Group 46. A was very good. But has work to do. And already that first dart is low, which isn't a good sign 57. For him. The miss has to be high.
Yeah, it does. His darts kink over to the right-hand side. And whenever he misses low and left, he will cover that entire 60 bed. The one thing he doesn't want to do in these two group games is constantly switch around the board. And there it is again. If that happens with dart 1, 96. The switching's got to be on point, otherwise this group will eat him alive.
Yeah, it was good to see Mike back playing. Like you said, there was questions around him
100.
because he just handed his card back and went, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Had some time away, but great to see him back.
Some people might think that's the easy thing to
99.
do. It's actually sometimes the sensible and the hard thing to do, to understand and admit to yourself, this is not working for me right now. I'm prepared to take a break,
58.
see if I still love it, and I can always come back. I really admire that.
I absolutely agree.
Back in the 1980s, Jockey Wilson had a bit of time away from the sport,
Mikey require 140.
and he had a period of 7 years between 2 world championships, so it can be done.
And then, as well, when he walked away, he went home to Kilcoddy and never left the house again, sadly.
41.
Now here comes the age-old question. Do pigeons like ice cream?
95. Mikey require 99.
Because if we put a flake in it here, we might just about find out. Double top, twice. The same as our first match. A speculative
59.
look.
Tom, you
And
require
a chance for Tom to break
76.
in leg one.
But that wasn't the intended target. Only a dart at the bullseye. And you can see by
51.
that
Mikey
facial
require
expression says it
40.
all.
You could have heard
Tommy
a
requires
pin drop in this
25.
place when he was going for those doubles.
They look nervy. Can Lonsdale take advantage? No, he
9.
can't. The pigeon will return.
Mikey requires
Same as the first leg of the previous match. Maybe the same key will apply. Get the first leg, get the confidence and run. Double five for the pigeon.
Mike van Duivenbode.
He's got a few fans out there. And his partner's in the crowd tonight as well.
Second leg, it's Tom to throw first. Game on.
Who would you rather be, the player or the partner? I think the partner will be more nervous than the player.
The player all day
100.
long, because you can block it out as much as you can.
You're the one who's got control. And this week, looking through all the players that we've seen in very muggy
59.
conditions, I think Mike van Duivenbode has handled the situation the best. Not just because he won Group B,
42.
but because of his demeanour, his reactions to certain situations in-game as well, and in particular, his game last night with Tom Lonsdale, and I still don't know how he lost that game.
60.
He missed a ton of match darts, and Tom Lonsdale won from the bottom of a cave.
99.
That's how far behind he was in the last leg. I don't think I'll ever understand how he won that match.
This is why we love the sport, Nico. Funny things happen on a dartboard.
60.
Lonsdale with a top performance this week of almost 99.
100.
The best winning average of the entire week until Scott Mitchell found 107 plus last night. But if his week was a graph,
100. Tom, you
it would
require
have been high on
160.
Monday, tailing off all week long. But his delivery
140.
towards that treble 20 bet, he might not be hitting it all the time. At least the delivery looks better.
Yeah, he's always in and around the target. And will come back to level this game up.
140.
There is pressure
Tom, you require
from
20.
Van Duivenbode, but it is now in Lonsdale's hands for a level game. Surely just bumps off of that one
No score.
and can't. So there is a
Mikey
break
require
opportunity.
82.
Keep it simple. 17. And tops.
42. Tom, you require 20.
Not a badly thrown dart. Can't. Oh my word, that's such a blocker.
No score.
And that's where rigid flights do you no favours.
Mikey require 40.
We'll come on to that in a minute because they're both using them. It was something I was going to ask you about, but Van Duivenbode now has a massive opportunity for 2-0. Only got one more at 10s, but it takes it. It is 2-0. The Pigeon. And there is his other half cheering him on. It is 2-0. And now Lonsdale has a mountain to climb.
It's Mike to throw first. Game on.
Does that make her Mrs. Pigeon?
I would guess so.
Just something we do in commentary in this sport. Like Andrew Goulding's other half is Mrs. Goldfinger.
Mr. and Mrs. Pigeon, it is.
100.
I'm glad we got that figured out.
But
so, rigid flights.
Yeah, going back to that point, Nico, that they are more popular, and especially among the younger players coming through, the older pros still use traditional flight and nylon flight and stem, but we are seeing this more and more. But we spoke about this in the build-up, that we are seeing more darts on the floor because
53.
of this setup. And pros and cons, where are you on this?
50-50. Huge pro.
57.
Exact right angles on the flights. Con, the rigidity of some of the models. Because when they hit each other, the dart just falls on the floor. That's counteracted by another pro because of the join of the stem and the flight. It's actually tapered away from the join
108.
towards the middle part of the stem, which means that if the point hits that, it's just going to glide off. However, we've been watching them for a few seasons now, haven't
96.
we? We're seeing more darts on the floor
96.
as a result of collisions, and they're different collisions than we are used to. Definitely an ongoing topic.
Well, Dave Chisnell's one that springs to mind.
Game
As
shot
Van
of Mike
Duivenbode
Van
pings the
Duivenbode.
96 and leads 3-0. And at the moment, this is a carbon copy of Game 1. But going
Full
back
flag,
to
it's Tom to throw
Chizzy,
first.
we know he's one of the most
Game on.
prolific scorers there is, Nico. But he has more darts on the floor than I've ever seen since he's made the change.
100.
Absolutely correct. Now, how many in the world's top 10 use technology like this? If we're talking about percentages here of the 10 best players currently in the world in the PDC
60.
rankings, 80% of those players use foldable flights.
78.
Is that because of what they're used to? Or is it because they believe they're better? That is an ongoing topic. But you're right about this game.
130.
Carbon copy, maybe not of standard, but of possible result.
Yeah, and we go back to
140.
that catastrophic 4-0 scoreline either way. For one, you know, at a worst, you're going to be on 2 points and a neutral leg difference. But for the one
40.
chasing, you then become the person that's just beaten you's number one fan.
80.
Case in point.
I was about to say, no further questions, Your Honour.
What I think these flights do is they magnify any imperfection in your
140.
trajectory.
Tom, you require 103.
If he doesn't hit this, which he won't now he's running the risk of a 4-0
55.
loss.
Mike, you require 130.
And bearing in mind that Mike has hit this on the bullseye in the last couple of nights.
Should get a match start. Will get a match start at the ball for 4-0.
90.
Set up.
Tom,
Didn't
you
fancy
require
it.
48.
This has got to go.
32. Mike, you require 40.
It doesn't. And now Van Duivenbode looking at tops for another drubbing and 4-0. That looks a fabulous guide. Surely. Yeah,
Big shot.
finds the
And
top
match,
corner of
Mike Van
tops.
Duivenbode.
And Mike Van Duivenbode wins here on finals night in Group 2. 4-0. And just look at him, puff of the cheeks there. He knows that is a huge result. Thanks to fans on the way off. Look, the standard wasn't the same as Game 1. The result was Van Duivenbode takes a huge step towards the semi-final. But coming up after the break, it is all or nothing for Moreno Blom.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break we saw Mike van Duivenbode get the better of Tom Lonsdale by 4 legs in a game which kind of typified the week. Missed opportunities at a double, 0 from 11 for Tom Lonsdale. Mike himself missing 10 in the process, but managed to get over the line with a 4-0 scoreline. But now we return to Group 1, and it's crunch time for Moreno Blom, who lost 4-0 to Conor Heahan in the first match of the evening session. A leg for Scott Mitchell will send Heahan into the semi-finals, whilst a win for Scotty Dog would ensure both him and Conor would be in the final 4. So it's must win for the Dutchman, but he takes on the former Lakeside champion, who caught up with Phil Bars early on this evening.
Scott, here we are. Another finals night here at the Modus Super Series. Is tonight the night?
Hey, why not? You know, I felt that every time I've been here. It's just fell short, and yeah, we'll try again tonight.
Do you think your experience could be key this evening?
Yeah, maybe, but also it can hold you and be to your detriment when you've had those scars before. So yeah, you've got to be careful. And these guys are hungry, and I'm the old man of the group, so I sit in there and I just listen and take it all in.
We've seen some patchy stuff from you, but also a really eye-catching one to end last night. Was that important to end on a high coming into today?
Yeah, pretty much so. I've had a few weeks off, and last week went to the seniors and played okay, made a few mistakes. So we're sort of going into a run of a few things now, sort of going in all the way to October. So the game will get better, I will get sharper, and yeah, hopefully it starts tonight.
Timing his run here at the Modus Super Series to perfection, possibly.
Who knows? I think we all know you can't win it from Group A, you can't win it from Group B. You've got to be here on the Saturday night, and I'm here, so I've got as good a chance as the other 5.
How do you approach this group stage? Did you have to get out of the block quick in this group so you're not chasing in that last game?
You have to treat it like a knockout. You have to treat it immediately like a knockout. Yeah, if you go down, you can't go into a game thinking, oh, if I go down 4-3, I'm still in the mix. You can't think like that. You've got to go and win the game and then put the pressure on everybody else. who's still left to play in the group.
Well, Scott, wish you all the very best ahead of the action, mate. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, mate.
Well, that's the big trophy, but he's looking to pick up the little one first and get his way through to Champions League for the first time. He's made a couple of semi-finals here, has Scott Mitchell, and did so on his previous appearance, was ousted by Bo Greaves on that particular occasion. He takes on Moreno Blom, for whom, if he's going to make it to a second semi-final, he's going to have to win, and probably win big. So let's get into our third game of the evening session with Phil Bars and Paul Nicholson.
Thank you very much, Henry. And here we go. Moreno Blom knows he is at the point of no return, a defeat, and he is going home. But interestingly, that one leg for Scott Mitchell means that Conor Heahan will go through.
One of the benefits of winning 4-0 in your first game. And Conor's got a bit of a wait before he comes back to play Scott Mitchell. That will be in Game 5, as all of you regular viewers know. The Group A champion always gets the first game and the fifth game. And Mitchell knows a thing or two about that because he's won a Group A before with a healthy total of 28 points. But this week, he needed to work quite hard just to get through a 2-day campaign. But now that he's here...
First leg, it's Moreno to throw first. Game on!
He's got another chance of that elusive weekly title. This is now 4 successful qualifying weeks from 5 attempts for Scott. Up against Moreno Blom, who is not far behind him in getting 3 Saturdays from a possible 4.
Yeah, and we all know Scott's talents, and I'm sure it'll eat away at him that he doesn't have a weekly win here at the Super Series yet.
81.
If he does win tonight, the first person to congratulate him by electronic means will be Chris Mason. And us, of course. Because he is multi-talented. He's got more jobs than most. He's a farmer.
85.
Darts commentator. Dart player. Speedway commentator. Brand ambassador.
140.
The list goes on.
You said to me a little bit earlier that you think he looks a little tired. I said he's probably been tired for the last 25 years.
60.
Not really started as of yet in this contest, but Moreno Blom is out of the blocks strong, and he said he thrives under pressure. He is right in the melting pot at the moment.
Yeah, what he's got to do is he's got to beat Mitchell. That can be his only mindset. Can't be thinking about beating him by 4 legs to 0 or 4 legs to 1. Don't think that way.
140.
One leg at a time, think about the positivity of beating someone. And let the chips fall as they may, because after this game, it's not in his hands.
44. Scott, you require 116.
2 slack visits there has opened the door for Scott Mitchell. The 140 sets up the 116. And as long as he keeps it straight, he will get a dart at tops.
76.
Can't take it. Opportunity missed from Mitchell.
Moreno, you require 96.
We know where dart 1 is going. Where is dart 2 going?
$80.
Not in its intended target.
That was just a little bit scrappy. And I think I'm being quite generous when I say that. It could well be 1-0 Mitchell. He didn't like the feeling of that dart.
20.
He doesn't like the whole visit.
Moreno, you require 16.
No, didn't look comfortable at all. And Moreno Blom, to keep his hopes alive, oh, what can he see from there? Nothing by that reaction.
Somebody give him a ladder.
He's almost in Southampton in our old studio throwing that one.
No score.
That second dart was a
You
nightmare.
require 20.
This is the same as game 1 and game 2. And whoever takes leg 1 wins.
Game start of first leg.
Should we write 4-0 down now?
Nah, it's never that simple.
But what is simple,
Second
that leg from
it's
Scott
to throw
Mitchell
first.
means that Conor
Game on.
Heahan is a semi-finalist mathematically. Before a dart was thrown, the worst outcome was he'd be back for a 9-dart shootout. Now he'll be back for the semi-finals.
43.
Just think about that for a second. Conor Heahan has turned up to Saturday night, and 5 legs in his group has seen him go through to the
33.
semi-finals. It couldn't have gone any better than this.
It's almost as if he was writing the script.
Yeah, welcome to the week where the script gets shredded. If you'd even tried to script this week,
100.
you would have failed. Favourite with the odds compilers, Scott Mitchell.
100.
Because of his CV, he's won almost everywhere he's gone.
He was, but I was interested that at the start of the week, before a dart was thrown, Heahan was the favourite for the week. So
60.
between the Group A campaign and Scott's Group B campaign, the odds compilers obviously decided that Mitchell was in better nick.
78.
Compare their weekly averages. 83.49 for Heahan, 85.55 for Scott, and trust me when I say this, that's inflated by his last performance.
100.
So I don't think that is the clincher. I think they've gone superbly on his CV.
108.
And somebody needed a little bit of pepper on their steak right there, didn't they, Moreno?
Got the fans involved. The live lounge erupts as Moreno Blom pins the max.
Think about the kind of game that Blom likes.
140.
And then think about the kind of game he doesn't like.
110.
This is the kind of game he doesn't like because he has to wait a long time for every shot, but it's tops.
70.
And 2-0 might be staring him in the
Scott, you
face.
require 58.
Some would call it Mitchell using all of his experience in this situation.
Double top.
Game shot and
That is as
second
pure
leg,
as it
Scott
gets.
Mitchell.
And where have we seen this kind of experience employed before? You don't
Third
have to
leg,
go
it's
back
Moreno
too
to throw
far
first. Game
to
on.
think about a game that happened just a little under a week ago.
60.
I know exactly the game you mean.
That's because you were here, Phil.
Colin Osborne against Ashley Coleman. The Wizard used all of his experience to control the pace of the game in his manner.
And he won by
60.
4 legs to 1. But in the final, Connor Scott did the job by the odd leg. And that leads me to
60.
something which is fast becoming a story here in Portsmouth. Because in the last 10 weeks, in the final game of the week, 9 of them have been 4-3. Only one
140.
has gone 4-2. And that was Richard Eric Rowlands beating the defending champion Andreas Harrison. Does that mean that tonight we're going to get
100.
another 7-leg final?
Why not? Just well. This one's in the midsection. Just hello in the chat room, everyone. A couple of friends of the show
24.
and players in. Niall Cullerton, Carl Coleman in as well, who we saw play. Well done on debut here. Getting involved in the flight debate as well, which is
26.
raging on. We've started something there, Nico.
You could say it's a subjective argument, but it's not actually an argument. It's just a discussion, isn't it? But
45.
there are benefits and drawbacks to everything.
Absolutely.
Both of these guys are employing the molded flake technology with different
100.
manufacturers. And Mitchell's job here is to get to a finish. If he's on singles after 2 darts, he'll use the bull. Not that single, though.
$45. Moreno, you require 155.
Finally, some breathing space, and he must use it. He is fast running out of time.
39.
We just glanced at each other's there as if to say, told you so.
How many times has it happened tonight already? We're averaging 1 fallout per match.
57. Moreno, you require
Some games are decided by
116.
very fine margins, and it could well just be 1 dart. He's staying on the 60 because he has to.
56.
This would be
Scott, you
killer.
require 130.
Double break and 3-0, following the pattern of the first 2 games.
That first start is very safe. Can't use it as a marker because it was too safe. So Moreno Blom will come back looking at 60 to keep
Moreno, you
his
require
thin
60.
hopes alive here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. It will be 2 at tops. Can he find it?
20.
No is the answer.
Scott, you require 70.
That look from Moreno Blom says it all. He knows the writing is on the wall.
Well, I hate to paint a very bleak picture here, but Moreno's had 15 darts at a double tonight and he hasn't hit anything. Blom expects this to be hit, and so do I.
50.
It just so happens that
Moreno, you
single was
require
just a
40.
tiny bit too high and blocked him out. Oh,
35.
my. Honestly, he's probably in the mood where if he threw
Scott, you require
porcupines at the board, he
20.
wouldn't hit a double.
It's an absolute doubling disaster for Blom. Mitchell for 3-0.
Game shot
It
on
is
the third
pins
leg.
double 5.
Scott
It's in,
Mitchell.
Scott. You don't have to look twice, I can tell you.
He's done that a few times this week.
4 flag. It's Scott to throw first.
I'm not sure if
Game
Moreno
on.
Blom has had a worse darting experience here in Portsmouth than this. It's not the kind of game he wants to play. He wants to get on with it. The person who is making him wait longer is beating him 3-0,
60.
and he might walk away not hitting a double all night long.
81.
Well, it's interesting, Nico. We've got a great view of the stage here from our commentary box looking over, and Moreno looked a lonely figure at the back of the stage where even when you're losing legs, you can see some people are chest up, but he looked very lonely.
Darts is a
60.
lonely sport when you're playing singles. There's no help. And the only positive I can think of for Moreno, and this sounds
100.
somewhat snidey, but at least his doubles percentage can't go down.
There is that.
I was the one who piped for him on Thursday night, and I said, don't count him
81.
out. He's got great fighting spirit, but I think even he, in this spot, is leaving himself with too much to do.
100.
There's only so many times you can get hit and get back up again. And right now, Moreno Blom looks as if he's on the floor.
Well, you're a big boxing fan, Phil. I know this. And some organisations employ the 3 knockdown rule.
Correct.
Here, we have the 2 knockdown rule.
100.
Because if you're knocked down twice in your group games, you're not getting back up.
No, you are going home. But
100.
I fully expect to see Moreno take 5 minutes to compose himself, and I bet he sat out there with Simon Adams before too long.
Probably. They've struck up a bit of a friendship this week. But that has probably been Moreno's most difficult opponent this week.
100.
Again, because of pace.
Moreno, you require 120.
There's the single.
47.
He's trying everything in his arsenal, but
require 100.
he's just coming out with no bullets.
And Mitchell to book his place with Heahan in the semi-finals. 1 at tops. And he's
80.
missed. He knows.
Moreno,
Look at the
you
reaction.
require 73.
The fans want to see more darts, Moreno. Entertain them. Yeah, he's hit a double.
Flag. Moreno Blom.
Now he's got some fans and he's got a smile on his face as well. 9 missed darts at double.
5th flag. It's Moreno
his
to throw
first game.
First. Game on.
And then with his 10th attempt in his second match, he gets a shot. And look at Mitchell in the background.
95.
I like that. He wanted to beat him 4 legs to 0. And he feels disappointed that he hasn't got it done by that scoreline because he knows that if you give anybody a sniff
59.
here in this short format, you might get burned.
Yeah, he was seething, but he missed the opportunity.
59.
I think the demeanour of Blom has changed a little bit as well. I said in the last
60.
leg, even he's let himself get into a situation that is maybe too much for him. But can you imagine
100.
what we would remember about tonight if he was to get out of this group?
If he can pull this off from here, it would be one of the greatest escape acts we have ever seen in darts. Anywhere.
100.
He's got the lead in this leg. But if there's one thing that we've
96.
noticed over his 2 games played, it's aside from the doubles, that's obvious. First dart has not been planted in the right place.
No, he's one of those fast field players, as we call it, that dart 1 has to be high. And then he
60.
can feed off of,
Moreno, you
off of
require
that.
151.
That's the first dart he's been looking for all week.
111.
That would have been one of the biggest finishes of the week. We have actually seen that from someone in the crowd, Scott Campbell.
Yeah, top of the treble 20, sat up to attention, saying, please hit me.
58. Moreno, you require 40.
The aforementioned Campbell.
Game shot on the 5th leg. Moreno Blom.
Are things changing, Nico?
Well, it seems like they are. But let's understand
6th
the
leg.
generation
Scott's
that
to
Mitchell
throw
is from.
first. Game on.
He comes from a generation of players that will say, I'll get one break of throw and I'll hold the rest of the time. He will understand right now that this is his chance to win the match.
55.
But he has definitely slowed down. This game is low to mid-70s. And if we may be brutally frank,
44.
there was a lot of this last night.
Yeah, neither player playing anywhere near what they expect of themselves right now.
$99.
But when you have the darts, every treble is like a nugget of gold, forcing Moreno
100.
Blom to find 2 treble visits. 1 are not enough.
That last leg was a 16 darter, which is about a 94 average. It does tell you what the rest of the match has been like.
85.
He's in a spot here where if he can find 140 or maximum,
60.
he will be in command of the leg and possibly the match.
Counting has to be good here.
If in doubt, go to 18s.
98.
Can Moreno Blom apply some pressure? The answer is he can't.
80.
So Scott Mitchell now
Scott, you
has
require
a minimum of 6
164.
darts to book his place in the semi-finals.
No ton plus checkouts tonight. And Mitchell's best over the last couple of evenings, 104.
80.
That last dart could be very, very vital. Here comes Blom.
100.
Only a ton. He knows
Scott,
it
you
needed
require
to be more.
84.
Now Mitchell, 84 for the match. Should get at least a dart at the ball, but it's going to be better. 2 at 12s. 1 more at 6. And he's missed.
78.
Is this the opportunity Moreno
Moreno, you require
Blom needed?
117.
4 match darts by Mitchell. And the shot is off as quick as it was on.
$22. Scott, you require
For someone who
6.
loves tops, this is the other side of the board.
This could get awkward.
Game shot.
But Mitchell
and the match.
finds it.
Scott Mitchell.
Scott Mitchell, after a little bit of messing around on the outer ring, does book his place in the semi-finals along with Conor Heahan from Group 1. 4-2 win over Moreno Blom. the 2015 world champion, will be back in a straight shootout to decide who tops Group 1. But coming up after the break, Tom Lonsdale needs a result, but Thomas Banks is in his way.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break, Scott Mitchell confirmed his place into the semi-finals, and he sent Conor Heahan through with him. A 4-2 success against Moreno Blom means both Mitchell and Heahan are into the semi-finals, whilst Moreno Blom has been eliminated in the group stage. Well, it's a similar scenario for Tom Lonsdale in our next game against Thomas Banks as the one Moreno Blom was in Game 3. A 4-0 defeat in his first game to Mike van Duivenbode means he has to win to stand a chance to stay in, whilst, as far as Thomas Banks is concerned, one leg for him would ensure qualification for Mike. A win for Thomas would guarantee that we'd know the 4 semi-finalists by the end of Game 4. It's been quite the week so far for the Bulldog, and early on this evening he caught up with Phil Bars.
Thomas, here we are, finals night at the Modus Super Series. Your smile there says it all. This is something that you've wanted, isn't it?
Yeah, very much. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it. I've got my county youth manager and one of my mates with me down here, so it'll be good. It'll be good. You got better as the week's gone on as well. I know you were disappointed to end up in Group C, but look, you've topped it and you've come through. They must be delighted with that. Yeah, I'm very happy. I think Group B was always the aim, but you always got to have a plan B, and if the plan B is getting into Group C and trying to get through there, as long as you get through, that's the main thing, and that's all I was going for this week. But everyone forgets how young you are in this sport, but you've done a lot of things in a short space of time. Have you had time to take that all in? I just going with the flow, to be fair. I just love, as I said yesterday, I love playing darts, and it's what I want to do. Whether I get onto the PDC or not is another question, but I'll hopefully get to the best of where I can be in the game, whether that's on the Modus, whether that's WDF, whether that's PDC, I don't know, but I just really want to play darts and try and be the best of my ability every single time. You touched on whether you get there or not. Look, there are lots of pathways with the development tour in here. Can you
almost as a youngster get on tour too early when you're not ready for it then, perhaps?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know people that's gone on there and they've just crumbled straight away. Some of my mates are on there now, like Leighton Bennett and stuff, and I think it's brilliant what they're doing, but your age, it could be a bit early, it could be the right time, could be a bit early. Like, there's different people that are shone at different ages, like Littler, for example. He's shone straight away, but other people, it's different. You might have to take it step by step, or you might not. You might just shine straight away.
What would it mean to you if you could win this evening and book a place in Champions Week?
I'll be buzzing. Honestly, I'll be buzzing. I'd miss my dog so much. So as soon as I get back, I'll be down there going to see him. So I just want to try and get over the line and think one game at a time. If I get through, I get through. If I don't, I don't. I've just enjoyed my week here, and I'm glad to be one step further at the Modus.
Well, Thomas, wish you all the very best ahead of play.
Thank you very much.
Match point Banks. Match dart Banks. Match Banks. Now we'll be seeing a bullseye from Banks. What a wonderful shot.
He speaks so well, doesn't he, Thomas Banks? And it could be a big weekend for the 17-year-old because he could well tomorrow in Aylesbury confirm his place not just into the Championship Tour Finals, which takes place here at the Live Lounge later on this year, but also confirm a spot at the Global Championship, which is taking place in December. He takes on Tom Lonsdale. This is a big game. It's must win for him to stand a chance. Let's hand back over to Paul and Phil.
Thank you very much, Henry. And we were just admiring Thomas in that interview. At such a young age, speaks so well about his career, knows the direction he wants to take, and it's quite a rare trait for someone so young.
Get used to it. Think about when you were 17 years old, if you're our age.
Tom to throw first.
If anybody had a camera, you'd be nervous. Nowadays, cameras are everywhere, so you don't see kids nervous in front of a lens anymore. It just doesn't happen. Well, that's the start he wanted. Hitting a maximum against Week 9's Mr. Maximum. Yes, that's right, Thomas. You're not a 180 hitter. And I'm going to call you out right now because you've played 25 games and hit 40 maximums.
60.
That's 13 more than anybody else coming into Saturday. So
96.
You're wrong.
And this has been some start from both. Same scenario as in
55.
the last game in Group 1. One leg for Thomas Banks would confirm Mike van Duivenbode's place
43.
mathematically in the semi-finals.
Tom's mindset coming into tonight was one of,
96.
I've got nothing to lose. Shouldn't even be here. However, the first game did not go to plan.
100.
But we did see something
Tommy
curious,
Maguire,
didn't we?
110.
You don't often see a game where both players average exactly the same. That's what we had, 78.08.
90.
And
Thomas
you've just
Uruguay,
seen, as part of our
122.
highlights package, Banks hitting this week. And again, darts is about repetition after all. And Thomas has got some fans here. He's brought a legion with him.
Second leg.
And he
it's
gave
Thomas
it the
to
big
throw
one as well,
first.
which I'm all
Game
for
on.
on finishes like that. Tom Lonsdale had an opportunity, couldn't take it.
134.
Banks steps in and means Van Duivenbode is a semi-finalist.
98.
Yeah, Thomas Banks is a 9-1 outsider tonight, by the way.
They could be regretting that around 20 past
81.
11.
Let them regret it. I wasn't being disrespectful to Tom
59.
Lonsdale earlier when I said he's not a shorter price than Banks. Stand by it.
96.
You're talking about someone who was second in Group A when it comes to Tom, but Banks won Group C.
100.
Yeah, and I liked it when Banks said the minimum requirement
100.
I set myself was Group B. And he had to put that disappointment behind him. And he did that. Maturity beyond his years.
58. Thomas, you require 90.
Could be a 2-0 lead. Tom is finding himself in the same position as Moreno Blom.
Want to get your opinion on that, Nico?
42.
When your opponent's not on a finish, is going for the ball the right play?
I don't mind it.
123. Thomas, you require 48.
I think it's a subjective thing. But maybe it's because he likes tops.
Thomas back.
He likes it even more now. I think people who like tops a lot
Third leg, it's Tom to throw first.
tend to use that a lot
Game
more.
on.
Anybody who likes 16s will probably employ a different plan.
59.
The Bulldog has the break. Leads 2-0. And is closing in
100.
on a place in the semi-finals.
I'll
go back to leg one. I think that 1-2-2 was like a huge body blow to Lonsdale because up until then he was playing quite well, but it just looks as if all the wind has been knocked out of him.
Yeah, pick your comparison to an Olympic event.
34.
A bit like the British windsurfer this morning who was leading at the halfway point and ended up with a bronze. And she was left in tears. This means an awful lot to these players.
94.
Especially for the players who've never been here before, who would like to shine. It's on.
121.
Desperately wanted to have a crack at it. It would have been really interesting to see if he'd gone for it. And I have a funny feeling he would have.
Absolutely. He's from this young breed of players
58. Thomas, you
see and
require
hit.
49.
But it is going to be tops for a 3-0 lead. Can't find
39. Tom, you require
it. He's just made a little bit of a mess of that. Is this the lifeline for Lonsdale?
It's just not there.
Thomas, you require 10.
This should be. And it is.
On a third leg,
Thomas Banks is within one leg of winning 4-0 and giving us our third bagel of the night. The least likely result of the week, 4-0, because we've had an extraordinary amount of last leg deciders.
108.
But based on that argument, I don't think we're going that far in this one.
I completely agree. The writing is well 96. And truly on the wall. Banks averaging 97 at the moment. Lonsdale does not have the answers. And hold on a minute.
108.
We haven't had one on a Saturday night yet, Nico. Is this the moment?
134.
We always say the right time to hit a 9-darter is the last leg of a match. He was almost apologising before the dart hit the board.
I don't know if you can see. Mike van Duivenbode has come out to have a look as well.
That's a rarity. Nobody does that.
79.
It's like a pigeon perking out from around the curtain. Literally.
89. Thomas, you require 62.
But 62 to win it. 51. Tops.
42.
Not this time, but we'll be back.
Oh, this is cruel on Lonsdale. He's staring down the barrel of 2 4-0 losses on Saturday night. But darts can be cruel.
65. Thomas's score was 42.
Just composing himself. Double 10.
Thomas, you require 20.
To serve the bagel. Double 5. Ooh, it's just got a bit messy.
No score. Tom, you require 117.
For a lifeline, he needs tops.
97. Thomas, you require 20.
It's Probably a good thing that Banks has come back to 10s, because now he's going to the semi-finals for the very first time. It takes him one game to do it, and he might just do it as the Group 2 winner. We'll have to wait and see what happens between Banks and the Pigeon, because that will be a shootout in game number 6. We said goodbye to Moreno Blom, and now we say adieu to Tom Lonsdale after a very hard week, and after 25 matches, Lonsdale goes back to Bridgewater, but Banks goes to the semi-finals.
Welcome to the party in Portsmouth here at the Modus Live Lounge.
They've both got the talent where they just reel off leg after leg and dish out a heavy defeat. What a way to start the day. We're up and running here on Champions Week with a maximum.
But what a way to finish. A 12-dart leg.
Beautiful check out there from Cam Crabtree.
Only needs the one.
Shot on the second leg. Darius
What were you saying about efficiency?
Shot on the third leg.
Is that the moment that Reece Robinson comes alive in this crucial clash? Looks like he's going to go for it. And it is right next to his favourite double top. And he gets the job done at the earliest possibility. That is Cam Crabtree through.
Case not so. Harrison gets the all-important win.
Game shot on the second leg. Darius Labanowski. Game shot.
Josh Smith, is it a 9? A long time. And that clenched fist.
Game shot.
He gets the job done in the end. He's nodding in total agreement because
game shot on the fourth leg.
Just like that. Only needs the one. There you can see
that she can unlock at any moment, but that is quality from Harrison. This would be a wake-up.
Welcome to the party in Pompey. Should be a good marker for him, and is. It was a great dive.
Shot on the first leg.
It's a breaker throw for Andres Harrison.
Shot on the second leg.
Consecutive breaker throw, double 16 is found.
And he does lead. It's not an 11, but it's a beautiful 12, treble 17, which he gets. Bullseye for the win. Absolutely incredible by Andreas Harrison.
He's Andreas Dirty Harrison!
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break, Thomas Banks confirmed our semi-final lineup with a 4-0 win against Tom Lonsdale, doing so with a 92 average and kicking off with a 1-2-2 checkout. Elsewhere this evening, Conor Heahan and Scott Mitchell are also through in Group 1 after both players beat Moreno Blom, whereas Tom Lonsdale lost out to Mike van Duivenbode 4-0 in match 2. So it means the matches between Mitchell and Heahan and Banks and Van Duivenbode are now position jostling encounters. The winner of those games will finish top of the group. The loser of that game will finish second in their group and will have the semi-final against the darts against the winner of the other group. We kick off those encounters with Mitchell against Heahan in the company of Paul Nicholson and Phil Barts.
Thank you very much, Henry. And here we go, everyone. Mitchell versus Heahan for the right to top Group 1. Both already into the semi-finals. It's just a case of which segment will they fall into. And sometimes there's a preference when you look at the other group, and will they care who they play?
I don't think they will. This could be the final tonight. They might both get through their semi-finals and meet again. So if you think there's nothing on this game, I'm about to prove why you're wrong.
Game on!
Win this game and you can get that little mental edge. These two have not played each other this week. It's their first meeting. So if it is to be the final,
140.
You'd like to get that one-upmanship. And also, the winner of this match wins the group and gets the darts in the semi-finals, which gives them
93.
that slight edge, which they can use in the odd-numbered legs. And if I may be honest, Series 8 has been the series of the Strawberry Blonde. Sykes, Paxton, Heahan, question mark?
46.
All for the Strawberry Blonde approach.
I thought you might say that.
Mind you, this recent weather we're having on the south coast isn't ginger friendly, I've got to say that.
100.
It is a bit cooler today, though, which I'm sure the players are very grateful for, because on Wednesday and Thursday, this place was like a sauna.
58.
It was very
Scott, you
unpleasant in
require
here, and we did our very
138.
best to ventilate it. And the players played in tough conditions. He's going to go to treble 10 here. Well,
94.
Heahan is still in the blocks.
Yeah, someone needs to tell him the starter's gun's already gone.
125. Scott,
Almost
you
on
require
cue.
44.
Motown, 4 tops.
Game
And
shot
a
on the
very
first
silky
leg.
smooth
Scott
15 dart
Mitchell.
start there for Mitchell.
Yeah, super stuff from Scotty Dog.
Second leg, it's Connor to throw first.
But Connor looking to assert himself here.
134.
Hello, Scotland. Hello, England. Hello, Ireland. All represented here at the Live Lounge on Saturday night.
140.
As well as South Africa. Simon Adams out there sticking around for a finals night. But we have 3 nations represented in the semi-finals
100.
here in week number 9. Banks and Mitchell for England. And it will be Van Duivenbode and Heahan for the Netherlands and Ireland.
Yeah, you touched on
100.
Simon Adams there. I was getting ready to come up to our commentary box. He just walked in, and there was a queue for autographs and selfies with the man.
82.
And why wouldn't you?
The last 3 weeks have been won by English players. Before that, we've had
60.
winners from Northern Ireland, the Netherlands, Wales, Canada, and then you go all the way back to week 1 for another English winner in Tom Sykes.
40.
Will the English streak continue? Or are we going to get another nation into the Champions Week in the form of the Irishman Heahan?
That Tom Sykes week does seem a long time ago now.
Oh, yeah.
60. Connor, you
Don't worry
require
about Tom, though.
145.
He's been very busy. There's absolutely no chance that he's not going to be sharp.
45. Scott, you require 141.
This leg is very much in the balance.
The 141 isn't going to go, so Heahan will get a look at this ton
59.
for 1 apiece.
Connor, you require 100.
Is it 1 tops or 2 tops? Neither.
Absolute disaster. Now Mitchell
40.
has a golden
Scott, you
chance to
require
break.
82.
You would think bullseye first.
What about bullseye last?
51.
Well, I
Connor,
don't know about you,
require
Phil, but
60.
I don't get that.
I don't like it. And we'll talk about it more in a minute if this goes. Can he pin tops?
Game shot
Yes,
on
he
the second
can.
leg. Connor
It is
Heahan.
1 apiece. And we go back to that route. That if you go for the ball first, even if you miss
Third
the
leg,
25,
it's Scott to throw first.
you still give
Game
yourselves another out. And 25, 17 tops is the route. treble 14, I know you end up on tops there, but it's just playing percentages, and I don't like it.
60.
I get if your opponent's not on a finish, but when your opponent's on 60, I don't get it.
We don't agree.
135.
But if he'd hit it, he looked like a genius. There are certain ways of doing things in darts at the minute that can be categorized as 50-50.
60.
That one for me is about 90-10. There are 10% of players who might say, well, I like going that way and I'm not going to change.
96.
However, 90% of players would agree with us and say 25-17 tops is just a safer play, a more prudent play, because you'd rather finish on the outer ring than the centre of the board.
100.
And now Heahan is stretching his legs after a slow start to this contest.
85.
The Irishman has effectively stolen the darts here. Mitchell needs to find something, and find something quickly, because Paul touched on it, that they hadn't met. And if this was to be the final,
100.
I'm pretty sure that Heahan would let Mitchell know before the final that I've already beaten you once tonight, pal.
They're almost identically poised at the end of leg 3.
145.
But with that first 140-plus score, Mitchell is still ahead by 2 scores of a ton or more.
$60.
I think that's
Johnny,
been
you
his Achilles heel this
40.
week. I think his scoring has just been a bit off. Whereas he is in front in that metric in this match. He might be behind.
35.
And probably should
Johnny,
have been.
You require 121.
But 1-2-1. Treble 17 and Bull. It's not going to go. So Heahan will come back to try and tidy up the mess
57.
that he left.
Connor, you require 5.
And this is a mess. How does he get past this? He's got to pick a side. Wonderful
So
dart.
third leg, Connor Heahan.
Positive, borderline aggressive, bit of gumption at the end, and we
Fourth
don't
leg,
mind
it's
that.
Connor to throw first.
This is paycheck
Game
night.
on.
Don't go up there like a shrinking violet. Go out there and punch your way through.
I want lots of peacockery on that stage.
135.
Walking around as if you own it.
Do you know what? We have these video packages that we run between games. One of them was from our last Champions Night. There's something that happens on that video package when Rhys Robinson is on the stage. When he gave it some gumption. I want to see more of that on Saturday night.
100.
I want to see more of it when big shots are hit in front of the fans. Why do you think they're here? They want to see how much you want it.
$140.
If he'd hit a 9-darter on a Saturday night to become the first person to do it, we would never have heard the end of it.
44.
And all of a sudden, breakback is on. Mitchell has found something. For a leg and a bit, the scoring was off. Now, it is well and truly on. Leaves double 18 for a 10.
Hang on a minute.
108.
We're having some fun now.
Scott, you require 36.
He has to hit it.
Game shot on a fourth
Best leg of the
Scott
night.
Mitchell.
That might just be Scotty Dog finding his range.
We also got a
Fifth
Johnny
leg, it's
Clayton
Scott to
finger
throw
point as
first.
well to the camera.
Game on.
This is just warming up into a contest where they're now
45.
both prancing around like peacocks. That stage might not be big enough.
This town isn't big enough
60.
for 2 winners tonight because there can only be one. Mitchell has made another semi-final here this evening.
100.
But if you think that's good enough for him, you're also wrong. He wants to go one step further and then another
100.
in one foul swoop.
It's interesting as well. I noticed it on Monday with Connor, and I spoke to him about it, that even in Southampton and the last series, the back end of his dart was
100.
He always played with those luminous green stems, but he's changed to an all-black setup now, which is interesting. Because he was synonymous with
81.
those colours, but has made the change.
Some dart players don't even know why they do it.
60.
He might have thrown darts for a few weeks and realised, I just feel like I need to see something different. And the tiniest little change, even just a colour, can make all the difference. However,
100.
he hasn't been playing his best darts this week. I feel like I've said that a lot tonight. But there's still time.
60.
It's only 60.
Connor, you require 160.
When you're not getting under 130, you're running the risk of needing another 2 visits.
But that first start is wild from Heahan.
31.
Let's be fair,
Connor, you
Nico.
require
He's botched the setup.
136.
He is going to need 2 visits. But the thing is, he might get them.
60. Connor, you require 129.
This would be magic. Highest checkout he's had all week, 120. And that has been a symptom
49.
of why his averages have not
Scott,
really
you
been that
require
high
76.
on the whole. He's been dragging darts left. Oh, Mitchell now needs another treble. It should have been so simple. 2 singles for tops. However, treble 17 for double 10. He can't fix it. This has been like a 100-meter race,
Connor,
this
you
game,
require
through
80.
quicksand.
80 for Heahan, but this could be awkward. How much of it can he see? Needs to move across. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I love that celebration. It's a break of throw, and he just lets Mitchell know, I've just broke you, and I enjoyed it.
Connor to throw first. Game on.
Well, Scott Mitchell's got to be like Ivan Drago now, because he must break him.
Look at the stare from Mitchell, the glaze. They're enjoying this battle, aren't they?
125.
I like to think so. When you're a gladiator on the stage, like they are, you've got to enjoy these duels. You can't afford to spend time
60.
thinking, are they trying to disrespect me by doing such and such? This is a game of darts. It's not the Colosseum in Rome where lions and tigers and swords are about. This is a game of darts. Go up there and enjoy the duel. And at the minute, Connor's enjoying it just a little bit more.
And he's got a bit of a swagger about him again on that stage.
41.
We all know that he is a character when he's enjoying the game and when he does big things. Those first 2 darts are very safe.
That's being kind. I'd like to know what's going through the grey matter in Conor Heanan's head right now, because he's had some lovely darts in the last couple of legs, but that last visit,
Connor, you require 136.
it's almost like his darts were being repelled away from the treble 20, and he's back in it now. Now, he doesn't want to go there. He might try another segment. He was caught in 2 minds.
He never made his mind up once
104.
there. You could see that he ummed and he yards and he ummed again.
Well, why does everybody ignore treble 12 in that spot? If you're not sure about the lie, think of other 36s on the board.
55.
I understand leaving
Connor,
48
you
alone,
require 32.
but 36 and treble 12 in that spot? This is to win the group.
16.
He presses pause.
How much pressure can Mitchell put the returning Heahan under? It needs to be maximum pressure. Willie, just hit it.
140.
I like that. Make Jack call it out.
Requires 16.
Make Heahan think. But Heahan gives a wink to the crowd, a wink to the camera. He beats Scott Mitchell 4-2. He will top Group 1 and have the darts in the semi-final. The Heahan fan club erupt here at the Live Lounge as the pair there share a word as they walk off. There we have the numbers, tail of the tape. Coming up after the break, Banks versus Van Duivenbode. The winner will top Group 2.
Hang on a minute.
Wow! Oh my God! Well, that's £100 down the drain already.
Itching to hit the 180.
He's gone for the maximum.
18 for the bull. Bull.
53.
No, he said bull. That's a great first start from Adam. Oh, look at this. He's going to leave Scape.
Oh, can you believe it? That is unbelievable. Get match darts to put his team into the final. And through to the final they go. Charlie Murphy has hit the match-winning dart on both occasions. Double 4 for the title.
Game shot out the match. Please show your appreciation for the winner of the Influencer Pairs event, George Scaife and Adam Lipscomb.
He seems to be out. That's what he is. Charlie Murphy. A couple more visits yet. We're not going to need that.
Bosh.
Pie face is through.
And he's absolutely buzzing.
It was a game that pie face dominated throughout.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where the Conor Heahan contingent of supporters are going wild. His man have won both of his matches, shall I say, this evening. Before the break, getting the better of Scott Mitchell by 4 legs to 2. That means he tops Group 1, and he's going to have the advantage of throw in his semi-final. The final group match sees Thomas Banks take on Mike Van Duivenbode. Same situation as the last. Winner tops the group. The player who loses will be second and will be against the darts against Heahan. Watching this one, Paul and Phil.
Thank you very much, Henry and Nico. We've been just keeping an eye out on the crowd here. During that break, they were singing Heahan's name for the whole 2.5 minutes of our ad break.
They may be singing it a little bit more later, because we are not that far away from the semi-finals. These two will be there, but we have a winner has a break situation. It's actually the loser of this game that stays on the board after a little break.
57.
Simply put, whoever wins this will win the group and have the darts in the second semi-final Whoever loses is going to take on Conor Heahan in the first semi.
And Thomas Banks has started how he finished his first game. The young man
57.
playing beautifully right now. And it's interesting that from here he is going straight up to play in that final day of the ADC Tour. Somewhere where he's had huge success as well.
$93. Thomas, you require 107.
Can he read it in? Is it fishing time? Not this time.
100.
This time it's Mike's turn to be left into the blocks.
140.
Let's see if Banks can take this shot. He's looking at tops again. He's had a lot of joy up there here tonight. He's in a really good mood. He seems to be saving a lot of his best stuff, his sharpest stuff, for here tonight, with the adrenaline pumping through his veins, and that is really promising.
The way they both play, I would like to see a turbocharged contest
100.
between Banks and Heahan. They've both got fans in. They both like to give it some.
57.
There would be some absolute peacockery on that stage.
$93.
At this stage, who's impressed you the most, Phil?
The man throwing now,
100.
Thomas Banks. Out of all 6 that came into the group stages, he's the one that's caught the eye more than others, I think.
100.
Yourself?
Absolutely. Of that, there's no doubt. 92.49 average in that 4-0 win against Tom Lonsdale. Couple of maximums, a ton plus checkout. It had a lot to be happy about.
100.
Now, Mike won his first game 4-0 against Lonsdale, but only averaged 78.
100. Mike, you require 108.
This for the riposte. Lovely, lovely dart.
68.
And a very safe shot at tops.
Yeah, that was one. I'm going to go high. Make sure I don't start chasing around the board because I will be back.
If you pull it a little bit, you might just edge it into the 40 bed. But at least this time he's got 3 darts. Well, he had 3 darts. Double 16.
24.
Might pay the price for that as Banks
91.
comes back to cash in.
I've got a question for you on that shot in a minute. We'll do it at the start of
Mike, you
the
require
next leg.
16.
But now Van Duivenbode to level this one up, looking at double 8. Now goes across the board and pins it.
Second leg.
A little bit of drama, but it is one apiece. And gets a come on from his other half. Going back to, we see it quite a lot as well, not just here. But when you go for tops and you mess it up like that, in your head, you're going tops 10s. That's your route. But they then go to the 7 for double 16, not to leave the double 10 that's your route. Is that a surprise?
Not really. I think what top-level dart players want to do is they want to leave primary doubles.
100.
And in order to understand what I'm saying, you have to know what a primary double is.
100.
It's something that is not broken down into. So if you think about double 12, that's a primary double because that breaks down to 6s and 3s. Tops breaks down to 10s and 5s. 16s is the best one numerically because it evenly breaks down to 8s, 4s, 2s and 1s.
85.
Something like 10s is not a primary, it's a secondary double. It only breaks down to 5s. So the reason behind it, you go for 7 to leave another primary shot.
Just in that case in point as well. Another one on the floor because of the deflections.
95.
And look what Thomas is using. Yellow and green equipment. As per
134.
Norwich City Football
Thomas,
Club.
you require 100.
He's got moulded flights as well. And he's also got a 100 checkout on 2 double tops. I think the crowd liked that.
Full flag, it's Mike to throw first.
Yeah. Thomas's dad in the crowd there, cheering him on.
68.
And I'm guessing he's got driving duties to get him to the ADC tomorrow as well.
108.
I'll tell you what, that drive will be much more enjoyable if he picks up the trophy tonight. Imagine the possibility of winning tonight's tournament and this week's title
140.
and walking into that venue tomorrow a bit like D'Lo Brown at a SummerSlam.
96.
Head bobbing side to side as if to say, yeah, I'm the Week 9 champ. And he's the #1 seed for that tournament tomorrow.
140.
Coming in saying, don't worry everyone, you had your day off yesterday, I'm back today.
87.
Well, one thing I will say is that Mike's namesake, Dirk van Duivenbode, had 115 average in a tournament today. And a first 9 of over 140 in beating Mervyn King 6-0.
97.
Great to see
Thomas,
Dirk
you require
playing
138.
injury-free for the first time in over a year.
118.
Seriously
Mike,
good
require
darts.
56.
Can Mike hang on?
16.
He's on his
Thomas, you
fingertips
require
now.
20.
And Thomas Banks is looking to put Mike on his knees.
No score. Mike, you require 40.
That's smart. Well beyond his years. He's only in his mid-20s. But he took his time.
Game shot on a 4 flag.
And he
Mike
just
van
said,
Duivenbode.
this game is going very quick. And he took a breath. Maturity
5th flag.
personified.
It's Thomas to throw first.
Yeah, he was getting
Game
dragged
on.
into Thomas's pace. So just took a step back.
100.
I know we like to talk about Luke Littler here at the Modus Super Series, a year removed from when he was a series champion and would go on to be a double series champion, but who throws the darts harder? Thomas
60.
Banks or Luke Littler?
I think Thomas.
They really do throw them very hard, don't they?
140.
The game's in a pretty good place with talents like this coming through.
97.
And it's not just the boys either. Some of the young girls coming through.
Yeah, Paige Pauling doing tremendous
57.
things is one that springs to mind.
We haven't even touched the surface of young female darts in this world.
134.
So much more to find around the world.
Yeah, the fruits of the JDC really coming through now.
140.
Where children of today are given safe environments to play and hone your crafts. Back when we were kids playing, it was just go out and play in all these open competitions. But now there is a real pathway, a real environment for these youngsters,
83.
both boys and girls,
Thomas, you
to
require
thrive in it.
64.
That is personified by Thomas, who is now
Game shot on
3-2
a 5th
ahead,
flag. Thomas Banks.
averaging nearly 95. And it's not just him who proves how
6th
things are
flag.
moving
It's Mike
forward.
to
There's
throw
actually a
first.
young man
Game
in
on.
the crowd, in the front row, who has just been selected as an England international.
140.
And he comes here almost every week. Not just here to watch, to see what it takes to get better. That is Leo Howard. Remember the name.
$100.
Just get the feeling that something
97.
special is brewing this evening. That we've seen flashes of genius from all the players, and if one of them or both can just hook it up for a period of 5 or so minutes,
60.
we could get fireworks in these semi-finals.
I honestly can't remember the last time I saw a hungrier player on a Saturday night than Thomas Banks. I look at his demeanour and I look at the way he's behaving. He's like a hungry wolf up there on the hunt.
145.
Listen to the noise if he hits this.
130.
Listen.
Game shot and the match. Thomas Banks.
That's what happens when you hit a checkout on the bullseye at the Live Lounge. This place has erupted. Half the job is done. Thomas Banks wins Group 2 and beats the Pigeon to the punch. But they're both going to the semi-finals, and that ensures that Conor Heahan is going to take on Mike van Duivenbode in the first semi-final. It's going to be Banks against Mitchell. What a game that is going to be. 98.9, one of the best performances of the entire week. And this place now is buzzing before the semis.
Next year, when that decision needs to be made, he's going to be 49. 1 year shy of the age of the seniors.
A very viable option. Two players who are around that age. Well, what did he say about the 9?
Will we get the 141? Will the promise come true? Double 12.
Shot and the match.
Steve West has won the match with a 9-dart.
Harrison has kicked off the last leg in perfect style.
It's everything, really. Oh, he's timing this well again.
180.
With a 9-darter, treble 19. Treble 15 leads double 18. Franchise Harrison to win the game in perfect style.
Hauled himself out of it.
Yeah, it was something that Henry actually said in jest that I was quoted as saying Jared Cole is one of the most, sounds a bit fishy. Glenn, do you know my grandpa Mark Salmon?
Do you? On a 177 and a 180. He's on a potential 9-darter.
Come on, Jared.
Yes, you beauty!
Nice and high, and has now got the game back into his
100
own destination, and wow, the momentum is with him. Here we go.
108.
I wouldn't have said it. Don't jinx it. Yes. Yes! Double 12! Yes! Get in there, Lee Cox!
Well, I think it's fair to say that the blue touch paper has been well and truly lit.
108.
Sixth max of the match. Oh, hang about. Hang about. It's getting ridiculous now. Can Tommy Leishman give us back-to-back 9-darters in back-to-back games? He could, you know. He could, you know. Goodness gracious me!
Tommy Leishman.
Back-to-back 9-darters. Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where we completed the group stage worth of action here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth in front of a very loud and passionate crowd this evening. We've been watching all of the action in the company of the asset Paul Nicholson. First and foremost, Paul, what a night we've had so far. At times this week, the standard hasn't always lived up, but this evening it really has.
Great crowd. What more can you ask for on a Saturday night? I think when you've got two players who have really started to perform, you've got Thomas Banks, who's done this and finished his group in such style. Conor Heahan deserves an awful lot of credit as well, because he didn't play to the best degree, but really has found a way to get his way through to being a group winner.
Well, let's go in chronological order. Let's talk about the man that it seems like they've all been here to see, Conor Heahan, and he really has lived up. It's a bit like Jimmy Van Schie, who are actually singing in the crowd this evening. When he has his support base here, he finds an extra level.
Seems to be. I think Conor Heahan has got the experience. If you think about someone like Jimmy Van Ski, what they've done is they've brought their fans and they're constantly creating an atmosphere which they can thrive under. When there's not many fans here, some people may struggle, but we're seeing the people who have the support, they thrive. So if you make it through as a player, bring some people with you.
In terms of Scott Mitchell, got the job done in his first match, but then in game 2, real signs of improvement from him.
Yeah, good performance in the first one. I think moving forward, he's just got that little mental hurdle to get over now, hasn't he? Because he hasn't been into a final before, so I'll be interested to see how he approaches the next one.
So Scott Mitchell, Conor Heahan, the two players that are through in Group 1. In terms of Group 2, let's talk first about Mike van Duivenbode, because he won his first game 4-0 against Tom Lonsdale. And overall, what would be your assessment of his evening?
Pretty tidy. I think he'll be pleased that he's into the semis for the first time. I don't think he's putting too much pressure on himself tonight, but I think he'll be really pleased to have got the job done in the first game. But you saw the difference in the job come game 2. Things were very different against Banks, who is bubbling tonight in a good way. He's like a volcano waiting to erupt.
In terms of Thomas Banks, he's been the player of the night without any shadow of a doubt, and another player who, in front of this crowd, has come alive. It turns out these youngsters, they like playing in front of people, don't they?
Yeah, I don't mean to bring it up again, but I'm going to anyway. The bookies got it wrong. We're supposed to be experts talking about darts. We saw something like this bubbling up all week long, getting better from Monday to Tuesday, Tuesday to Wednesday. He was better in Group C than he was in Group A. This is not a surprise, and obviously what we know about Thomas now is that he's an adrenaline player. He's not just someone who can play in JDC venues, streamed, but watched by a few hundred or a few thousand people. He's someone who can play under the lights, in front of the cameras, with the pressure on, and it's great to watch.
He said he wasn't a big maximum hitter, but he almost treated us to a first 9 darter on a Saturday night here at the Live Lounge. And if that happened, the roof would have come off this place.
Yeah, would have done, but he's got to face facts. He is a maximum hitter. I think he was telling us lies. There are certain people within this sport who don't admit to what they are. They might say, well, I'm just a dart player, I'm not a celebrity. I'm a good player, I'm not a great player. I'm not a big maximum hitter. Yes, you are, Thomas. Embrace it, because you've been the biggest scorer of the week by a mile.
Best player of the night for you so far?
Banks, easily.
Well, let's have a look then at the semi-finals, because they are available here right now for us. We're going to see in semi-final number 1, Conor Heahan in action. He's going to take on Mike van Duivenbode. Connor's has seemed very consistent throughout the course of the evening. What has Mike got to do to get the better of Conor in this one, do you feel?
I think he's got to keep the crowd quiet. I think the Pigeon's got his fans here tonight, but he's going to be possibly drowned out by the Conor Heahan massive. He's going to have to start well. That first start's going to have to be useful, because if Conor starts to get rid of that lateral drift into the 5 and he's a little tidier, we might be seeing someone going up to that 94, 95 average level. And because he's won the group and he's got the darts, Van Duivenbode has got to get a quick start, otherwise he's going to leave himself with too much to do.
In terms of our second semi-final, Thomas Banks up against Scott Mitchell. Thomas has been the player of the night, but one thing we know about Scott Mitchell, he's the type of player that will play every game individually.
I'm not as afraid for Mitchell against Banks as I am for Mike van Duivenbode against Heahan, because you're going to see a bit of a masterclass from Mitchell. The person who's over 50 against the teenager, the one with the experience against the greenhorn. I think we're going to see, it's not dark arts, let's just get that out there, It's stagecraft. It's playing the game, and Banks is going to have to be more patient in that game than he's ever been on a stage.
Tell us what that difference is between stagecraft, doing what you need to do, and that line that can be crossed.
Dark arts are where you do things that can be construed as going into the point where things are not allowed. Being inside the exclusion zone, for instance. These lines are here for a reason. I know that the stage that we have here is not as broad as some others, so people being in it, it's not really policed and it's not that massive a deal, but maybe brushing people's shoulders, that's a dark art. Mitchell's not going to do that, but what he's going to do is use the rules to his advantage. He's going to take extra breaths, he's going to take extra steps, and Banks has got to understand that that is not breaking the rules, but it will happen.
Who wins from here?
I can't go against Banks because he's the best player of the night. He hasn't got the experience, but he's got the form, so I'm going to have to go with the form book.
Well, as you could probably hear, Conor Heahan is on the walkway on his walk-on, and the crowd are really lived up, pumped up for these semi-finals. It's Heahan in action in our first semi-final, and he is going to take on Mike van Duivenbode.
Absolute hammering. Heahan bags the points in the opener. It is a 4-0 and the fan club goes wild. Surely. Yeah, finds the top corner on top. And Mike van Duivenbode wins here on finals night in Group 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Modus Live Lounge here in Portsmouth. It's semi-final time and it's time to meet our players. Introducing first a former weekly winner here at the Live Lounge. It's Conor Heahan! And Conor's opponent, he is a former PDC Development Tour title winner. From the Netherlands, it's Mike van Duivenbode!
Well, I think Mike van Duivenbode is Jimmy Van Ski, but Mike could do what Jimmy has done in this series and win a week. He takes on the crowd favourite Conor Heahan in our first semi-final here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. The atmosphere has reached fever pitch here in Portsmouth, and in the commentary box is Paul Nicholson and Phil Bars.
Thank you very much, Henry, and wow, what an electric atmosphere here in the Live Lounge. Hino being cheered on, and you just get the sense that if it was a Heahan-Banks final, the roof may come off this place because they are, without question, the fans' favourite. But Nico, you've just come up from down there. Wow, just wow.
Shades of the Jimmy Van Ski week in the previous series and in this series, because he has won back-to-back qualifying weeks. This place is bouncing right now, and just more proof that this is a great ticket of sport on a Saturday night on London Road in Portsmouth.
Game on!
I've actually just spoken to someone downstairs and they said, am I on London Road or am I at Fratton Park? That's a compliment, but now we're getting serious. Because this is a knockout match. Whoever loses will not go to Champions Week. Whoever wins will still have the chance.
Yeah, no second chances here at the Super Series. It's all about groups for most of the week. The groups are now done, dusted and parked. It's all or nothing.
140.
What this crowd will generate that they can use as adrenaline, but you have to be someone who's comfortable with that, and obviously Heahan is. We know that Banks is.
77.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere and the noise will suit the two you just said, and if they were to meet in the final, we could get something magical, something special.
96.
Now, the thing that makes this game quite tight, I know they haven't played each other this week. What a great time to have your first meeting with someone. But the averages for these two guys, they are separated
57.
by 0.13 for the night. However, Heahan has got better doubles. 8 hits from 23. And Duivenbode 6 from 23. They've both had the same amount of darts at double as well. That makes, for me, this one possibly the harder one to call. Because I'm not sure
57.
how you're pitching your tent for the second one.
105.
I'm intrigued by the second one. Because you look at everything we've seen, it says Thomas Banks should win. But it's Scott Mitchell. And if anyone knows how to craft a win, it's Scott.
Magnificent darts.
Connor, you require 60.
Bring the noise, Connor.
Game shot on the first leg. Connor Heahan.
It's not just the noise from the fans, it's noise from the player as well. I bet you heard that. Come on.
Leg. It's Mike to throw first.
We heard it up here.
Game on.
And we're in a soundproof studio.
Think of the multiple weekly champions
140
that have been crowned in Series 8. Neil Duff with a 4th weekly title, putting him alongside the greats of the Super Series. Jimmy Van Schie getting his 2nd in 2 series. Tom Sykes with his 2nd.
108.
There's a bit of a delayed reaction on that one.
I must admit, I didn't think it was in either. I thought one looked slightly overpitched, but obviously not.
140.
We are learning by the minute about where Mike is with his game.
105.
Everything that happens from here, for me, is a bonus for his week. We knew very little about Mike's return coming into this week.
130.
We know a little bit more now, don't we?
And I like what I know as well.
Yeah, let's keep learning. Double top.
Game shot on the second leg. Mike van Duivenbode.
Oh, Connor Heahan gets the noise in the first one, and this one's got some stuff about it. I
Third
love
leg.
it.
It's Connor to throw first.
This place is
Game
warm,
on.
and right now we're getting a bit of roasted pigeon.
Keep this up, gents. Keep this up.
137.
This is electric from both. The darts, sensational. The atmosphere, incredible. All ingredients here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth is rocking right now.
93.
I know it's only a couple of legs in, but this is promising. And if you remember back, when the aforementioned Jimmy Van Schie was here, he always seemed to save his best darts for Saturday. It's a nice quality to have.
Yeah, also, all the chat around Connor Heahan beforehand,
140.
how he hadn't been at his best in Group A, but no one had produced this against him. And now he's producing it back because he's being pushed. Is he one of these players that needs that to produce his best?
That's a really good point. Because in Group A, when he was under pressure, he did turn up.
58. Connor, you require 84.
16s or 8s. 3 8s.
44.
He doesn't get 2 20s. But he can afford that miss.
Yeah, we were all questioning where his game was. But like you said, Nico, when he needed to win or needed something, he found it.
Connor, you require
And when he's
40.
being pushed here tonight, he is finding more and more.
Game shot on the third leg. Connor Heahan.
I think he enjoyed that.
I like this. I like this a lot.
Fourth leg. It's Mike to throw first. Game on.
In the words of Turkish, it's not a tickling contest. It is a darts match. It is gladiatorial. And sometimes you've just got to be honest with yourself as to what kind of player you are. And obviously, Hino likes to give it.
Yeah, we see
58.
too many players try and be reserved when it's not them. Just let it all out. Just be who you are. And if you are that player which puts their chest up, pumped up around the stage, that's what you do. Get on with it.
If he can perform under these situations. The riches are there.
45.
Remember Richard Eric Rowlands in his final against Andreas Harrison back in week 3? He didn't miss a double in that final. What a time to do that.
Remember it well.
58.
Still finely poised. And it has been a somewhat
100.
strange evening, considering what we've seen all week. We've had 6 matches and no 4-3s.
Considering it was a week of the 4-3s.
100.
Maybe we're saving it for the final again. To get 10 4-3s in the last 11 weeks in final matches. And that does include
86.
our first ever Women's Week, which was won by Rhiannon O'Sullivan.
You know the script.
Oh, not another one of those.
Sounded like a lot of metal involved in that.
Oh boy. That's what he can do. And Van Duivenbode knows now that this shot has just become pressure-filled.
May only get a dart of the ball. Treble 20 for double 12 is the preferred route. 14 or treble. Treble hit. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And look at that celebration from the Pigeon. This match is turbocharged from both of them. Heahan applied the pressure and Van Duivenbode just swatted it off.
Whether he goes on to win this semi-final or not, or
66.
goes on to win the night or not, with shots like that, we can say the Pigeon is back.
Absolutely, well and truly back. Under pressure, found something special. The 180 from Heahan was superb, but it meant nothing.
He has not felt that adrenaline rush for years. Over the last 2 nights, it's been like a library
22.
in here, twinned with a sauna. But tonight, with all of these fans in here and the game situation he's in, that celebration, that adrenaline spike,
45.
he's not felt something like that for a very long time. And that is why, at the start of leg 5, he took a timeout.
$60.
And managing that adrenaline rush is now his biggest mission.
Look, I've never played at this level. You have,
60.
Nico. But when you go up to one of those adrenaline rushes, sometimes is it easier just to ride that rush and just keep going on it instead of coming down?
You've got to come down from it. You can't play at that
97.
height. It's body chemistry. It depends how high the rush is, and if it is overwhelming, you've got to find a way to bring it down each 10 seconds.
96.
Best way to do that is measured breathing. And that's why he took that time out at the age of mid-20s. The fact that he knew how to bring it down tells you all you need to know about this mature young man.
100.
Nothing between them. This could all be about the setup shot here.
Bullseye now.
39.
Well, he didn't need that. One maximum apiece. What Mike would give for another as he takes another little breather. Again, taking the sting out of the game to reset for the next chapter.
$95.
It's pretty decent. There's a buzz about this place right now. An expectation.
59.
He had to go back upstairs
Mikey
there.
Require 127.
The last thing he wanted to do was leave 99.
The last 2 visits, though, from Heahan have been dry, and they've just opened up the door for a break.
55.
Unless Heahan
Require
can find this.
136.
We saw him go for this earlier and didn't like the lie after dart 1. That looks better. Just overpitched it.
96. Mikey requires 72.
2 words swimming above Our microphones right now, Phil. Nitty gritty. Go for the 12 here. And the tops.
52.
Saw the flight shake.
Connor, you require
If he's hitting that
40.
tops, that flight isn't hit.
That's why I'm not sure it was the right play, because the dart up and down to avoid the flight was tough. And Heahan steps in. Look at him. Going back to that dart, Nico, for me, look, it's just what I see. I think a dart at 20 for a clear double 16 was probably the better idea.
I see a point, but with that dart low in the single, there's always that chance of colliding with your flight and getting into the 60. So think outside the box. Going for the 12 was a safe play. If you want an open bed completely,
100.
It's very simple. 16 double 18. Do something that is just a bit out of the ordinary and use your darting skills. It didn't work.
42.
And that could be the most vital miss in this match.
Yeah, Van Duivenbode now has to win 2 legs on the spin if he's to book a place in the final. It is advantage Heahan.
$100.
He's lost 3 games this week, has Mike. Heahan has lost
99.
a lot more than that. But now it's down to the finest margins, and that's why Saturday nights are so brilliant here.
140.
140s are crucial. Especially when you're defending your own throw to try and take us all the way.
95. Mike, you require 104.
To send us to a decider. Would have left double 12.
26.
That has not worked out the way he
Connor,
wanted.
you require 150.
Biggest finish of the night is 130, which was hit against Mike Van Duivenbode. He did the right thing. Just didn't get the collision he wanted.
110.
The pressure has been applied. Heahan
78.
is on the block, waiting for the gun to go off. Can Mike bring it back? That is gutsy. What a semi-final this is. 1 leg shootout. Is it going to be Ireland or the Netherlands
final leg.
into the
It's Connor
final?
to throw first.
It all comes down to 501 points. It is a straight scrap to the death for a place in the final.
140.
And look at that from Hino. He knows the importance.
Saturday nights are just a little bit different, aren't they? This week, we have seen some darts that people would like to forget. Performances that have been very difficult in the hot sun of Portsmouth. But come Saturday night, I don't hear anybody talking about the temperature anymore.
95.
Apart from the temperature of the game, which is white hot.
That first dart is perfect. It's saying, fill me up. Mike's nodding in the background. The pigeon knew.
Mike might not even get a chance to win this match. And the reason for that is twofold.
140.
He didn't have the darts in the last leg. And he might be deflected by an opponent who refuses to lose. But we have seen a lot of games this week where match darts have been missed. There's only one job left, though, and it is just that. To put the full stop on the first semi to get into another final.
134.
Pressure applied. Heahan, 56 after 9 to bring the curtain down on a white-hot semi-final. And he has done it. Hino is into the final again. What a game, gentlemen. What a game. Take a bow. The live lounge erupts for both players. They have served up an absolute treat in semi-final number 1. And look what it means to the Irishman. He is into another final here at the Super Series. And he will have time on his side. He needs to go back, get the adrenaline down and prepare for the final. But superb. Mike van Duivenbode, we didn't know where his game was. He can leave here with his head held high. But coming up after the break, the second semi-final, Mitchell against Banks.
Hang on a minute.
Wow! Oh my God! Well, that's £100 down the drain already.
Itching to hit the 180. He's gone for the maximum. $18 for the bull. Bull.
53.
No, he said bull. That's a great first start from Adam. Oh, look at this. He's going to leave Scape.
Oh, can you believe it? That is unbelievable. Get match darts to put his team into the final. And through to the final they go. Charlie Murphy has hit the match-winning dart on both occasions. Double 4 for the title.
Game shot out the net. Please show your appreciation for the winner of the Influencer Pairs event, George Scaife and Adam Lipscomb.
He seems to be out. That's what he is, Charlie Murphy. A couple more visits yet. We're not going to need that.
Bosh.
Pie face is through.
And he's absolutely buzzing.
It was a game that Pie face dominated throughout.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break we saw Conor Heahan book his place into the final, getting the better of Mike van Duivenbode in a last leg thriller. And so Hino is into back-to-back finals, and he's looking to make it into the Champions Week for a second successive series. We're going to break from the action for now because we're joined alongside Darts of Fun, who's going to be playing at our second Influencers event, which takes place on the 8th of September. Great to see you here. First of all, here tonight, what's your impressions of the setup here?
It's brilliant setup. It's been a great night. The crowd, unreal tonight. Well, I come here for the influencer event originally, and it's brilliant. It's good.
Let's talk a little bit about yourself, because you're an influencer, do a lot of work on TikTok. Just talk a little bit about your journey and some of the work that you do.
So it basically started during the first lockdown. It was a way for me to enjoy darts as we couldn't play it outside. And it soon become a thing where people were turning to me to pass time. It was brilliant. Comments all the time. I was helping people with their lifestyle so they could watch, and it carried on.
So how much darts did you play before lockdown and with TikTok? Where were you kind of playing your darts?
I've always played. Ever since I was tiny, my dad had me on the kitchen table playing with them before they went out on a Friday night. I've played Super League for many, many years, and it's just continued all the time.
And with everything you've done on TikTok, you're going to be playing here at the Influence event. Now, you did play, well, you were here last time when we saw George Scaife hit 180 with the first 3 darts. Is there any pressure, because you're good, is there any pressure that you may have to try and do something like that right off the bat?
I would love to, but do they know what I've got to play with? Am I allowed to say that yet?
We will find out in due course.
Yep.
Because you're that good that we're going to have to just rein you in a little bit. But how much are you looking forward to playing in that event?
I honestly can't wait. To be on this stage has been something away from TikTok, just as a dart player alone, I would love to. And then to get the chance now, it's brilliant. So it's going to be a great day.
We've announced the 8 players. I'm assuming that you've seen the
I've seen a couple. I haven't seen it all. I got a text message from my girlfriend to say that certain few were playing. I haven't seen all of them yet.
So I could tell you Bradley Brooks is playing, John Henderson is playing, Devon Peterson is playing, Robert Thornton is playing, Neil Duff is playing, Mason Whitlock is playing in that event. Now, is there anybody in particular you'd like to pair up with in that event?
I would love to do Mason. Mason and I have been speaking in previous, and he wanted to play with me in another pairs event. Maybe this time we get to do it. I'd love to play with Mason.
Well, it's been great chatting with you. We look forward to watching you in that Influencers event. That's going to take place on Sunday, the 8th of September. More information in regards to how you can be here at the Live Lounge for that will be available in due course. And of course, it is available to watch on the Super Series YouTube channel. But back to the action here and now. And it's time for our second semi-final of the evening. It sees red hot Thomas Banks in action. The Bulldog is looking to get the better of Scotty Dog. And it is game on here at the Live Lounge.
That's what happens when you hit a checker on the
But Mitchell finds it. Scott Mitchell, after a little bit of messing around on the outer ring, does.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Modus Live Lounge here in Portsmouth. We're moving on now to our second semi-final. Introducing first, a 2-time winner on the ADC Tour. It's the Bulldog, Thomas Banks! And his opponent, he is a former champion of the world. It's Scotty Dog, Scott Mitchell!
It's the Bulldog up against Scotty Dog, but who's going to be top dog in our second semi-final? And who is going to leave the Live Lounge with their tail between their legs? Well, it's Thomas Banks up against Scott Mitchell for the right to face Conor Heahan in the final. In the commentary box, Paul Nicholson and Phil Bars.
Well, everyone, we have just about got our breath back after semi-final number 1, but now it is the battle of the dogs for a place in the final. This man, Thomas Banks, has been sensational in the group stages, but now he faces the 2015 BDO World Champion, Scotty Dog, Scott Mitchell. And Paul, I don't know what you think, but this could be an important part of Thomas's education this game because of the opponent.
Either way, he's going to learn something valuable for himself, whether he wins, loses, or dominates. Because there's a difference in all three things. Tonight, Thomas Banks has been playing his best darts of the week. 95.7 his average for the night in his first group game and his second group game combined.
First leg, it's Thomas to throw first. Game on!
It's not just that. 47% on the doubles. He bossed his group. If he bosses the semi,
100.
The final could be explosive.
Strap yourselves in. You are going to need a seatbelt because it's going to go off. You can just tell.
60.
Now, what we all need to pay attention to in this second semi is the pace of this game and how Banks approaches his opponent.
59.
Because when he was up against Mike van Duivenbode putting in 98.9 as an average. He was comfortable with the pace of that match. Here, it's going to be more akin to playing against Simon Adams from earlier in the week.
41.
And he had to play him 5 times. And it did look as if he was staring down the barrel as if to say, can you just get on with it?
It was interesting. We had a good shot there that Thomas had just thrown his third dart as Scott was getting to the back of the stage. So it really is a case of just trying to get on with it.
100.
Well, when walking to the venue today, guess who Thomas was walking with? Scott Mitchell. And Thomas's
55.
dad was there too. Maybe they were talking about the possibility of meeting each other in the semi-finals. And we can talk all we want, Phil, about Mitchell wanting to win tonight.
41.
He hasn't made a final yet. It's the same sort of argument for James Wade in a World Championship. He hasn't been to a World Final yet. In order to win, you've got to make the final first. And that is the hurdle that is right in front of Scotty Dog right now.
And Banks, on his own darts, is down to 68. Mitchell needs to apply some pressure here. One treble visit is not enough. Needs another treble.
182. 25? Love that play.
127. Thomas, you require 68.
Double top.
48.
That
Scott,
16 route is becoming more and more
132.
popular on 68.
If you like tops. Looking for a second bull in the leg. But he needed the 57 first.
I'm not a mind reader, but I don't think he was too happy with that dart.
52. Thomas, you require 20. Game shot on the
Worked
first
his
leg.
way in.
Thomas Bang.
They look like darts from a veteran. Not someone who can
Second
barely
leg. It's Scott to throw first.
tell someone at the DVLA that they want a driving license.
Yeah, 1-0 Banks. And it's not the free-flowing
140.
Thomas we saw from the group stages, but he won't care as long as he wins.
That's been the year of
59.
17-year-old superstars. Thomas Banks, Luke Littler, Lamine Yamal. He's done his job, hasn't he? First leg with the darts. He settled into the semi-final. His
85.
first semi-final here in Portsmouth. This is a big occasion for Thomas, who seems to play big-time darts
140.
every day at the minute.
Yeah, I remember speaking to Steve West at the exhibition we did in Brentwood about Thomas, who plays a lot of stuff locally with him, and Steve was like, he's a special talent, special player.
100.
And that's high praise coming from someone of Westie's calibre.
Absolutely right. There's Tom Lonsdale watching on.
97.
And I think it's key for a player who has been defeated in the group to stick around and watch the semi-finals and just soak it up and see something that you didn't get, and for it to stoke the hunger for next time.
Yeah, you want it to hurt. You want it to go, I don't want to feel like this again.
100.
If it hurts, that's actually a good sign, because it means you still want it. If it doesn't hurt, then you've got license to worry.
93. Scott, you require 76.
Mitchell for the night is averaging under 80. His doubles have been 30%. How good will this be?
56.
Not quite good enough.
Thomas, you require
I'm going to ask you a question
112.
once this leg's over about that way, because there's a break opportunity now. Can he find a treble? No, he can't. So Mitchell will return
95. Scott, you require 20.
for a level game. Double 10 for one apiece. Double fives. This could get tricky. Has to be aggressive here. And
Game
we
shot on his second
have a
leg,
level
Scott
game.
Mitchell.
Scott Mitchell knows how big that is.
Just before you ask your question, Phil.
Third leg, it's Thomas to throw
Banks
first.
left 17.
Game on.
You might ask why.
100.
I think there's a lot of communication going on between young players at the minute at ADC events, JDC events, and development tour, where they're starting to try and formulate this new form of defense in the game, where they're leaving silly numbers like 27, 21, 17, because they're trying
60.
to make the other player think, why did they do that? And do you know what that does? It gets them thinking about their score instead of their own.
134.
It's a form of defense in the game to try and play the mind games. It's a new thing. It's only just starting to happen, but we're going to keep an eye on that over the next couple of seasons.
76. Were you surprised that Scott's gone
85.
16s first and not treble 20 for double 8?
Yeah, I am. But if he gets the treble, he's got to go double 8, right?
140.
If he gets the treble 16, he's got a primary double 14. If he doesn't, he's still going to have tops, so he's looking to leave larger numbers. I can get behind it, even though if you get 16 and single 20, you're going to have that vibrant pink flight in your way.
140. Thomas, you require 127.
The Hinks, as we call it.
87.
He's playing the pace of the game really well. And look at that, darts down. Wipe the brow. Burning seconds.
Not concentrating on what his opponent's doing.
Absolutely.
And I remember when we were in our previous steward at
43.
Southampton, Robert Thornton
Thomas,
did
you
something
require
similar to
40.
combat this.
Game shot on the third leg. Thomas Banks.
This is seriously impressive. When he plays development tour darts and
Fourth leg,
with
it's
people
Scott
of his
to throw
age, he will
first.
not play
Game on.
many players at this pace. But he's showing flexibility here in mind.
100.
And it's got everybody's attention because let us remind you that Thomas Banks before tonight was 9 to 1.
140.
The outsider. We warned everybody that that was wrong. It definitely was.
Well, we were sat here and off air, you called it criminal.
140.
It could well be.
The job isn't done yet. We're just illustrating the fact that, at worst,
42.
he's going to be in the final 4 of the week.
Scotty will be pleased with this. There's not as much pressure on this
60.
leg as there has been his previous throw. But does that just open the door for a Banks counter-attack?
134.
Maybe it does. Their scoring packs are identical. 5 ton pluses, 3 ton 40 pluses. No maxes yet. Finally poised.
100.
How big was that treble with the last dart?
We're about to find out. Triple 19s. 4 of them in the last 2 visits.
Room 101 for Mitchell. Treble 19. Finds it. Double 12 for a level game.
89. Thomas, you require 51.
For a 3-1 lead. Double top again.
Game shot on the fourth leg. Thomas Banks.
Thomas Banks, 17 years of age.
Fifth
The
leg.
winner of
It's
Group
Thomas
C.
to throw first. Game on.
Is now on the verge of the final.
59.
The expectation in this place, it is quite something. He was 4th in Group A earlier in the week.
60.
Towards the end of that group, he had the best running average of 2 consecutive days. We were warned that something like this was bubbling up.
93.
And now he's got loads of opportunities to get into a first final and to keep Mitchell away from the final game again.
Yeah, Scott Mitchell will have to win 3 legs on the spin to deny Banks.
100. $137.
Pressure doesn't seem so much of a bad thing when you play under pressure every day. But do you play under this kind of pressure every day, Thomas? I don't think you do. But when he wakes up in the morning now, he probably expects
100.
some form of it. He's got 6 darts from 2-1-2 to play against Heahan in tonight's final.
60.
Thunderous, but only 60.
Mitchell has to find 2 trebles. It's non-negotiable.
$140. Thomas, you
Gets
require
them.
152.
And now he needs another pop at that 101, which he missed in the previous leg.
64.
If he misses it again,
Scott, you require
he risks losing the
101.
match.
Can he put it right this time?
I think initially he wanted the 1, you know, but the flight's in the way.
The way it's kicked to the side has made him change his mind.
85. Thomas, you require
Will he get a shot
88.
at double 14 or the bull? Double 7.
81.
Boy, did he give that a go.
Scott, you require
He didn't feather it.
16.
He gave it a really good look.
1 match start has gone.
Yeah,
Mitchell
John, a fifth
keeps this
leg.
one alive.
Scott Mitchell.
And it is a break back. So effectively, we're back on throw.
6th leg. It's Scott to throw first.
And look at the poise and the patience, even with the glass of water.
Game on.
Everything is a process in this sport. Maybe Scott Mitchell knows that more than most.
Yeah, Banks has had an opportunity. Can he carve others?
100.
There's no guarantee he gets another match start. What Mitchell would like to happen is that Banks falls off his
57.
level a little bit and Scott tons him out.
Tons him into submission.
Here comes another one.
100.
This is what old school players do. They ton you down. It's like chipping away at a very big tree with a blunt axe.
96.
Eventually, it will fall.
For us of a certain age, and I know you'll appreciate this, Paul, the glorious red pen leg in Super League, that today's youngsters will never understand the satisfaction of it.
No, they won't.
100.
There it is again. Shades of the old Alan Glazier. Formerly known as the Ton Machine.
58.
Are we going to go the distance in the second semi-final as well? Everybody here at the Live Lounge wants that to be the case. Apart from the Thomas Banks fans, this is not going to be a ton. Super smart.
Leaves a 2-darter after 12. Nothing Banks can do about it, apart from apply pressure.
Scott, you require 56.
It's times like this where you find out who you are as a dart player. Cool as a cucumber. And Scotty Dog lives. He denies Mitchell. He denies Banks, in fact. Another chance to win the match. It's a one-leg shootout once again. Mitchell's enjoying it. He's looking to become the second commentator to win a weekly title behind Chris
57.
Mason, who did it nearly 2 years ago.
Is that really 2 years now?
Late October 2022.
One of the best weeks we've had at the Super Series.
55.
Trebleless both. What happens next?
96.
He can't leave a finish from his position right now. He may retain the darts after this. Standard's been decent. 90 average for Banks. Mitchell trailing by a few points, but still very much alive.
93.
How big could that treble 18 be? Keeps Mitchell at bay.
He wants to get to 206 here. It's not going to happen.
60.
First trebleless visit. The atmosphere in the live lounge right now is about as thick as candy floss. 157 to be in your first final in what has been a very, very tough week. Here comes Scotty Dog. Wonderful. The last chance for a maximum in the match comes from the man in pink and black. But it's red. It's green.
117.
Wow.
Scott, you require 106.
2 match darts missed. Mitchell could punch his way to his first final with this.
What an effort from Banks, but it may be in vain. It's tops for Mitchell. And Mitchell has missed as well. Look at him, he thought that was in.
He seriously thought that was good.
40.
If this goes in, listen to this, Portsmouth.
Game shot on the match. Thomas Bang.
The knockout punch from the Bulldog. And Banks is in the final against the favourite. What a great semi-final that was. If you thought the first one was good, that one was just a little bit better. Because both players did have a shot to win. And we have our final. It's going to be England against Ireland. Someone in their umpteenth final. And Banks in his first. Wow, what an evening it has been. 2 4-3s in the semis. And what a great performance that was from Banks, who yet again averages over 90. For the night, he's been the best player statistically. And it'll be interesting to see if he can bring it again in a mere 10 minutes' time when the final starts. Do not go anywhere. It's Banks versus Heahan after this.
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where our final is now set in stone, and it is going to see Conor Heahan and Thomas Banks play for a place in Champions Week. The asset, Paul Nicholson, has been watching every single dart, every single bit of tension in the commentary box. Well, it really has been a night littered with drama from the first dart.
Yeah, I mean, the group games were great fun to watch. We saw people getting through with a game to spare. But come the semi-finals, we've kicked it up a notch. It's been very, very interesting. 2 4-3s in a week that's been littered with seven leg matches. And that second semi-final, we saw both players have a shot for the match. We saw great volume and Conor Heahan showing great spirit to make the final. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of crowd dynamic we're going to have for this final.
Well, let's stick with Conor for now. He won our first semi-final against Mike van Duivenbode. Very much a game which swung in terms of the ascendancy going one way then the t'other.
I think Conor's really glad that he won his group, and having the darts in that last leg was crucial, because what you saw from Mike van Duivenbode were great shots in defending his throw in the even-numbered legs. But Conor getting his chance in leg 7, he didn't need asking twice. It was a fabulous tops. And at the end of it, he didn't want to celebrate because I think he understands he's going to need a bit more energy for later. And boy, is he going to need it against Banks the way he's playing.
Talk about the difference in dynamic in terms of during the week, it's still the same competition, but it's completely different when you got a credit. What's the major difference? I know there's one or two obvious ones, but what's the little intricate stuff that for a player just gives you that extra 5%?
It's how you feel. Talk to someone who was at the Olympics in 2021 in Tokyo, and they were doing the long jump, the triple jump, the 100 meters, when there were very few people in the stadium. It feels quite sterile, and you've got to go into real focus to feel like you can do your best. That's what it's like Monday to Friday here. You go into your own little bubble, but then come Saturday, it's like you're surrounded by 50,000 people. I know we haven't got that here, but sometimes it sounds that way because these fans have been raucous tonight, and that can really spur you on, depending on what kind of player you are. And in the case of Banks and Heahan, they definitely like it.
Well, if it was loud for Conor Heahan, well, the decibel levels went up another notch when Thomas Banks won his game against Scott Mitchell. What a tense ending it was. Both players on a ton plus out in the last leg. Banks missing tops for his, Mitchell missing tops for his. What an ending.
I really thought he was going to hit this because he hit 130 out in his second match of the night. And at that point, he's thinking, don't you dare hit this treble 20, because if you do, I think he's going to take the tops, because he was always going to leave tops if he found the treble 20. Look at Thomas in the background. He's put the towel over his face. He's thinking, don't you dare. And at that point, Mitchell thinks he's hit it. He really thought that was good when it left his hand. But the next shot was pretty good. And the volume was deafening.
What's this moment like?
It's what it's all about. It's not just about where you're doing it. It's how you do it and who against. That's one of the biggest wins of his career so far. It's only a burgeoning career. But look who he's just beaten. Former world champion in front of people, with a lot of people watching around the world. That will mean a lot to him. But now there's something that could mean even more to him. That's why you do it, to have those kind of feelings.
Considering he's played the second semi-final, he's going to have a shorter amount of time to kind of come down from that semi-final. Is that an advantage to Thomas, or does it swing the other way?
We're still learning what kind of player he is. And he's still learning about what kind of player he is as well. So this is, for me, more pressure on Heahan than it is on Banks, because Heahan was the favourite to win his way through his group. He's done that now. He's won his way through a great semi-final. At the start of the week, he was the favourite to win the week. Banks was one of the outsiders of the night. If Conor goes on to win, it's what was expected. Mm-hmm. If Banks wins, it will be a giant step in the right direction.
Well, we'll talk about the final in a little bit more detail in just a second, but just to look ahead to next week and the action we're going to see here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth, because these are the players that are going to be in action. Joe Croft is at the ADC Championship Tour this weekend, hoping to get one of the top 8 spots, while you've got Stefan Bellman, who's had a fantastic year on the Challenge Tour, and Bradley Brooks, who's come off the PDC Pro Circuit, regalvanising his career, and Conan Whitehead, of course, a former champion in action.
Never bet against Conan. Rule number 1 of the Super Series, the Series 1 champion. He's going to be very watchable over the course of the first 3 days, minimum of the week. Bradley Brooks played some great stuff in the previous series. I think he'll really want to get back to Champions Week. It'll be fascinating to see what he does in Group A, because when he was here last time, he seemed to peak towards the end of the week. Can he do it a little bit sooner to give himself those days off on Thursday and Friday that he might want?
We're going to be live with that from 9:30 on Monday morning on the Super Series YouTube channel. But before all that, we have a final to look forward to, and it could be an occasion to savour as the two crowd favourites go toe-to-toe. It's Conor Heahan up against Thomas Banks. Conor's been here and done it before. How important is that experience?
It can be. We've seen in this series people getting their umpteenth weekly title in the case of Neil Duff, people getting their second in Jimmy Van Skee and Tom Sykes. But predominantly in this series, we have seen first-time winners, and especially over the last few weeks. What we may get, and I sincerely hope we do, is another 4-3, because over the last 10 Saturday nights that we've had here, we've had 9 4-3s. The shortest game we've had in those 10 weeks is 4-2. I see this game being very similar.
Seeing the players there in the practice room warming up ahead of the final, both look very relaxed, don't they?
They do look relaxed. They won't feel it. This is a very big match because you're either coming back at the end of the month or you're not. And in the case of these two, they desperately want to be back.
In terms of Thomas Banks, we know the quality he has. He's top of the ADC Tour ranks. Until today, Andy Bolton's overtaken him because he's playing in this event. We know the quality he has, but we're still learning a lot more. Could this be, as far as Thomas is concerned, a real breakthrough moment?
Yeah, I think there's a lot more that he wants to accomplish, but I personally think that this is all part of his apprenticeship. Everything he does, whether it's ADC, JDC, Modus Super Series, every single day is a learning experience. He's fast-tracking what he wants to do. Is he going at the same pace as Luke Littler? We're about to find out.
What decides this final, in your opinion?
Oh, that is such a tough question, because I think if Heahan brings a slightly higher level, like he did in the semi-finals, Banks is going to have to bring an even higher level for me. We've seen Banks lose with a 99 average this week. I don't see this final being poor. I see it being adrenaline-fueled, and I can see it being very similar to the second semi-final where both get a match start.
Well, Banks has won the ball. Does that change your thinking in terms of who wins this game?
No, it doesn't, because I can't give you an answer. It's that tight.
Well, it should be an intriguing final. It sees Conor Heahan up against Thomas Banks for a place into Champions Week. Conor Heahan was there last time. Thomas Banks looking to do so for the first time. This could be a cracker.
Top semi-final, and he has done it. Hino is into the final again. What a game, gentlemen, what a game.
Listen to this, Portsmouth. The knockout punch from the Bulldog.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Modus Live Lounge here in Portsmouth. It is the moment you've all been waiting for. It is our Week 9 final. Firstly, introducing a two-time ADC Tour Championship winner. He is the Bulldog, Thomas Banks! And his opponent, a man who has hit multiple 9-dart legs here in this venue, a former weekly champion, it's Conor Heahan!
Here we go then, the crowd are ready, and they are all supporting Conor Heahan. He's the crowd favourite here. He has made an allegiance of supporters here at the Live Lounge, but Thomas Banks has his supporters too. It is going to be a lively final in more ways than one. It's Conor Heahan against Thomas Banks for a place in Champions Week in the company of Paul Nicholson and Phil Bars.
Thank you very much, and everyone. It is final time here at the Modus Super Series. 12 came this week. and we are down to 2 for the trophy and a place at Champions Week. Thomas Banks against Conor Heahan. Nico, what we've seen tonight, it's the right final as well.
Definitely feels like it, doesn't it? They've both won a group this week. They've both played very well tonight, more so in the case of Banks. That is what they want to be hoisting
ladies and
in
gentlemen.
about 15 minutes.
First leg, it's Thomas to throw first.
There's going to be pace in this game.
Game on!
It's glory time.
140.
And a solid start. And you believe, Phil, that the break between semi-1 and the final was good for Heahan?
Yeah, I think because it was such an adrenaline-filled game
60.
and he put so much into it, it's given him 20, 25 minutes just to relax, recompose himself, and go again.
119.
These are the kind of finals we want on a Saturday night. With the crowd involved, not one person has left. This place
57.
has been bouncing all evening. Every single player who's played on that stage tonight is still here.
100.
They want to know who's going to Champions Week, and it's not that far away. We've only got week 10, 11, and 12 to go after this to finish the RSVP list.
Thomas, you require 142.
But for first blood in the final, it would be a holder throw for Banks.
102.
Leaves tops after 12. Very good opening leg from the Bulldog.
96. Thomas, you require 40.
Double 10.
Game start of first leg.
He's playing so
Thomas
well at the
back.
minute, and he's so hungry, he just can't wait to get to the hockey.
Remind me very much of Going
Second
Price.
leg, it's Connor to throw first. Game on.
Remember when he threw one over MVG's shoulder in the Premier League?
Now, Phil.
93.
And just because Heahan did win in the previous series, don't be fooled that his finals record
58.
is flawless. He has lost in finals before, and quite a few of them. But his record in making Saturday is something of myth.
134.
That man's still smiling. If you
58.
count the Champions Week that Conor was in the previous series, he's actually 9 from 9
44.
in weeks that he comes to Portsmouth. That is outstanding. But if there is a but for that, only one title isn't enough. He'd like a conversion rate that's better than 1 in 8.
140.
So far, they've both been commanding on their own throw.
93.
Which
Connor, you
makes you
require
think
90.
this final is going to be separated by either a mistake or a moment of brilliance from either one.
Oh, no.
84.
He's left himself on double 3. I think he'd rather have hit a 12 there.
44.
If he was not going to hit the
Connor, you
24.
require 6.
It's got to go left. Very well
Second
done.
leg. Connor
This
Heahan.
game is not just about 130 checkouts and key double top shots. It's about
Third leg,
hitting
it's Thomas to
nasty
throw
looking
first.
shots like that when they really matter, and that matters.
96.
And we got the traditional come on from him as well.
All of a sudden,
100.
he's not drifting left.
108.
Here we go. We're going into overdrive. For the night, Banks averaging 94.73. That's an elite effort.
84.
That's way above what he's done all week. 46% on the doubles as well. As for Heahan, 88.13, which is very much what he does all the time. 39% on the doubles for him. And neither player has lost tonight.
58. Thomas, you require 120.
And again, on throw, it's advantage Banks. Tops to lead again.
Game
Brilliant.
on a third leg.
Tongue topper from the Bulldog. He gets a thumbs up. And just think about it from his dad.
Fourth leg, it's Connor to throw first. Game on.
I remember a time when
58.
we couldn't invite anybody here under the age of 18. We had to change the rules.
50.
And sometimes you've got to change things in order to find the next generation. Everybody associated
100.
with the Littler brand since last year has taken a bit of credit of putting this sport into other households,
57.
into other people's conversations. If Banks was to win this match, all of a sudden, once again, people would be saying, there's another person under the age of 18 who can play. However, this game is destined to go down to the finest of margins.
Yeah, this is going to be 3-all. And then just who holds the composure the better. You can just see it now.
139.
That's fine. Whether he wanted the 19 or not, that's absolutely fine.
140. Connie required 24.
Double 12. He doesn't need double 3 this time. Best of 3 legs to determine who wins week 9.
Fifth leg,
This
it's Thomas
is
to
very
throw
much
first.
the thick end of the stick now.
All on the line.
57.
And having studied this for the last 4 legs, you just feel that if Heahan can find a blitz here
97.
on the Banks throw, he will take it away from Thomas. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, just his highs have been higher in this final so far.
80.
4 maximums in the final. 2 apiece.
58.
Banks is playing like he's not going to be
85.
broken. And that's a wonderful formula to have when you've got the darts.
Yeah, and if Banks holds here, he's got a freebie
43.
in the next leg because it's on Heahan's throw and he can just go for it carefree
99.
because he knows he's got the backup of having the darts if a decider is needed.
$99.
It's
Thomas, you
useful,
require 80.
but it's not useful enough. Double 10. Just isn't
And
missing.
on the fifth leg, Thomas Banks.
He's getting better as the night goes on. 75% on the doubles in the
Sixth
final.
leg, it's Connor to throw first.
Almost a 99 average. And look at him in the
58.
background. He strikes me as someone who looks like he's been fasting for 3 days and he's hungry for a
43.
pizza.
It's like a caged animal waiting to get out.
What has Heahan got left?
97.
He's hit everything at everybody he's faced tonight. He's going to be devastated if he's one short.
140.
But his opponent is just on one right now.
Needs another treble.
121.
And find one. That's a massive dart from Heahan.
That's guts.
108.
Another 180. And it might be the last one of the final.
$87.
Titles have been won
138.
on 138 before. This one will not be by Thomas Banks.
98. Connie requires
But can Connor save the
138.
match on that number? There's your answer. Double top
43. Thomas, you
for
require
possibly
40.
the win of his life.
Game, shot, and a Modus Super Series Week 9 champion, Thomas Banks!
Thomas has broken the banks. And he's going to come back to Champions Week at the end of the month. What a performance that is. The numbers reflect that the man who was 9-1 at the start of the night was apparently the outsider. We said he wasn't. He's just proven that he is the last man standing in week 9. That's a nice moment as Mr. Banks hugs Daddy Banks. A very busy time is coming up for that young man, and he has proven that Luke Littler is not the only 17-year-old who can play this game. He's invited Simon Adams onto the stage for a bit of a hug. Well, that's a nice moment as well. But there is only one man standing at the end of week 9. What a nice touch that is. Just a sign that sometimes the players in the practice room all week, they do get along, and some people can teach very, very good things to the youngsters. Thank you for everything you've done this week, Simon, but thank you for that, young Thomas. What a final. What an experience here on Saturday for the man who is about to talk to Phil Bars on the stage. He's won week 9, and my word, that was something else. Down to the stage we go then. Your winner of week 9 is with Phil Bars.
Thomas, congratulations. What an incredible night here at the Super Series. Your smile says it all. Just sum up how you're feeling for us right now.
I'm feeling buzzing. Like, honestly, this week has been such an amazing week, and I feel like this is definitely the top of my achievements.
You've got better and better as the week's gone on. I know you said going to Group C was a disappointment, but boy, have you put it right. And tonight, you have been absolutely outstanding. What was it been like, pressure games?
I mean, in the last 2 games against Scott, 3-1 up, and all my darts were going low, and I was just dragging. And against Connor, we've got on all Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I thought if I can get one on him in the most important match, I'll be happy. Stepping up for that winning double, championship winning double, what's going through a very young mind? Everything is shaking. I don't know whether to throw up. Like, honestly, I couldn't. It's just what moments are made for, aren't they? Look, we saw what Luke Littler did here as a 17-year-old, and there will be comparisons made. Are you ready for those comparisons? Yeah, bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. I'm ready. I feel as if my game's come on a lot, and I know Luke's every step of the way there with me. As you can hear with the crowd, I couldn't thank him enough, but Luke messaged me all week. He's been brilliant with me. He's been telling me like what his experiences are, and I couldn't thank him enough, and good luck to him in Australia. Look, the live lounge here has been rocking all night, and what's it like when you've got them in your corner? You know, I didn't even believe half of them were coming. Like, honestly, I thought I had no one here to support me, so when they walked in, and I just disbelief. And it's brilliant to have Simon and Scott. I've been with them Group C and Simon all week, and they've been really helpful. They went out for food last night and before tonight, and they've been really helpful and given me the best advice all week. Simon, he's done amazing for South African youth darts and darts in general, and he's been more of a coach to me this week as an opponent, and I love him to bits, Couldn't thank him enough. The Thomas Banks train doesn't stop from here. You've got a big ADC event tomorrow as well, because you want to come back here, part of the Global Championship, the tour ending. So what's it like being you at the moment with so much darts to play? I just love playing darts. Like, I'm shattered, but I got to do a job tomorrow still. I focused on this all week, and now I can start to focus on ADC tomorrow, and it's just going to be a great night. I'm just going to hit the pillow and go to sleep. And at Champions Week now beckons. There's a lot on the line, not more than £25,000. What would that mean to get your hand on the cheque and the trophy? I just take one game as it comes. No matter what group I'm in, I'll put all my effort into it. Hopefully I'm in Group A, because I like playing a lot of darts, and I feel like I'll get better and better throughout the week. Group B, be a bonus. Like, if I'm starting in Group B, happy days. But just take one game as it comes, and hopefully all these people will be down here to support me in the Champions Weeks on Saturday night. Well, now it's time to get hold of the trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, your Series 8 Week 9 champion, Thomas Banks.
Wow, what a night, what a final, and what a champion. what a prospect for the future Thomas Banks is. And not just does he fill it in the way that he plays the game, but the way he goes about the sport, the way he conducts himself. There's Dad, probably the proudest dad in Portsmouth tonight. And, well, a classy week has got a classy champion, and maybe we have unearthed and emerged another fine talent in Thomas Banks.
The future is now. The future is not tomorrow. What you're seeing is the emergence of another generation of players. Last year, we were very proud to bring you Luke Littler and everything that's gone on from there. He has done that himself with his team and his family, his sponsors and everything, but there's more. And this is Thomas Banks proving to the world that darts is in such a great place with the young generation. The future is now. The future is up to him. What he does next could be very seismic in his own right. I think tonight has been a feel-good night. I think you believe the same, Henry. But we're getting the same sort of vibes that we got last summer, and we want to go through it again.
There was such a purity, especially that moment we just saw there with Thomas and his dad. And sometimes we forget about the journey, not just what the players go through, but what the family goes through. And those are special moments. And I know he's a young man who's got a great future, but you just don't know how many nights you're going to have like this in the sport.
Yeah, that's true. It might be the only one. So you've got to enjoy it while it's here. But it's very late here in Portsmouth. It's 11 o'clock. In about an hour's time, everything's going to settle down. He's going to think, I've actually got a tournament to go to tomorrow. I've got a lot more to do. But think about something like this. When he's a kid and he's seeing all these things on social media and he says to his parents, Dad, can you take me to this tournament, which is about 2 hours away? And that parent has obviously said, yes, we will harness this talent with you. We'll give you the vehicle to go and do things like this. This is exactly what it's for.
Well, he's still celebrating with the people that are alongside him. And as you say, he's got to go to Aylesbury tomorrow. He was top of the ADC Tour Championship order, mate. Of course, he's relinquished that because he didn't play there today. Andy Bolton's overtaken him. But he's going to go into that tournament tomorrow on the crest of wave. He could end the weekend Super Series champion into Championship. I actually calculated it. He could appear here after this week another 5 times by the end of 2024 because of the Championship Tour, the Global Championship, and the Champions Week he's about to play in.
That can't be a bad thing, right? He's fast, he's exciting, he's attaining new levels of performance, and he's averaged over 98 twice tonight. And if I may say so, he's needed to, because he's been pushed by some of his opponents. I think Mike van Duivenbode, I think Conor Heahan can leave this place with their head held high. This week, it was at times attritional, but my word, it was like a symphony that was just bubbling at a very base level. And then towards the end, the crescendo was all cymbals. It was fabulous tonight. Really enjoyable.
Well, let's talk about the final and talk about how Thomas won it, because it was a nip and tuck affair, wasn't it, against Conor Heahan. But at 3-2, Thomas just found that extra gear, which we've seen so many times from him this week, and this was the moment that done it.
His entire week has been about tops and tens, and that double 10, he will never forget it. He said it was the biggest achievement in his career so far, and I'm going to emphasize on the so far bit, because we want people like Thomas to succeed even more. This might just be a platform, but when you do it in front of the cameras, under the lights, in front of the people, it just means more than when you do it in a hall with lots of boards.
Because he's got a big end of the season ahead of him, as we mentioned, that ADC Tour. He's going to be guaranteed a space, obviously, at Champions Week. We'll see him in another regulation week here later on in the year at some point. He's also going to return for the Championship Tour finals. He's also got the Global Championship. Between now and December, if he carries on the way he's going, his CV could be superb at the age of 17.
When we host the Global Championship here and the ADC Tour finals, we're going to be picking statistics apart, thinking of these players, who has won here? Now we know he has. And you think about someone like Simon Adams, for instance, inspiring Thomas. What about the other way around? Who has Thomas inspired tonight? I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who would say that he has.
And we've mentioned, obviously, the Luke Little effect following what he did at the World Championship. The fact you've got Thomas Banks doing now, obviously Jensen Walker he's seen do well here at the Super Series too. And so, obviously players that slightly older, the likes of Cam Crabtree, Owen Bates, that we've seen do well here, Jared Cole, to name another one. The future of this sport is in very safe hands. And things like this could be massive in terms of helping sport go forward. Have a look at that. The young and the old. And that is what the Super Series is all about.
And it's not just that as well, because the superstars that we are talking about, they're getting younger and younger and younger. They're under the age of 18, and we're starting to look to the kids coming through. And I mean that loosely, because we're looking at 12-year-olds. I mean, there's even a young lad in Kent who's playing Super League at the age of 11, and he's contending against people like David Wawrzewski, who plays here on a regular basis. The JDC have done an awful lot with academies, and over the last 10 years, they've drip-fed us positivity, but now it's hitting us in the face because it's happening every single year. We applaud that. We want more of it. And I think we need to get it in the ladies' game or the girls' game next, because that could be just as revolutionary.
Well, Thomas Banks is going to join an illustrious list of names that makes it through to Champions Week in a few weeks' time. And you look at the players in there, he's going to be in the mix come week 13.
Things are definitely bubbling up, aren't they? You look at Scott last week, he was excellent. You got Thomas Banks this week, Tom Sykes, do not forget about him. All the way back to week 1, he will be ready. He will be ready. And Jimmy Van Schie, of course, who's had his name sung here tonight by a plethora of Jimmy fans. Imagine if you've got Banks and you've got Scott and you've got Sykes and Van Schie in a finals night here at the end of the month. My word, you don't want to miss that.
The other side of the coin, because there's always two sides of a coin in the final. Conor Heahan didn't play his best in Group A, but really turned it on tonight. A man who's getting 2 finals. He's won 1 now. He's becoming a player that when he comes here to the Super Series, you're expecting him to get to the end game.
Yeah, that's true. He's someone who always gets his way to the championship match. But this is one of those instances where he has to hold his hand up and say, I was beaten by the better player. He didn't get a match start. He didn't even get a chance to take us all the way to the final leg. But I think in a couple of days when the dust settles, he should be very proud of himself. Because in the first 3 days, he didn't provide his best. Tonight, he stepped it up a notch. And come the next series, he'll have another crack.
It's got a little bit quieter in here. 1 or 2 of the patrons have now departed for home, but what an evening we've had. And that crowd, well, we've seen it a lot with Conor, with Jimmy Van Schie and some of the other players that now come down here and have built a real allegiance of supporters here at the Live Lounge. We're getting some very special Saturday nights down here.
We are, and we thank people for coming down. It's a very, very generous offer that the Modus Super Series give you of just a couple of quid to reserve your seat. It's going to get to the stage where people look at nights like this saying, I want to be there, and we might have to start turning people away. So make sure you get your tickets nice and early for week 10, because that could be just as loud.
Well, if you do want to be here on a Saturday night, it is www.dartshop.tv to book your tickets to any Saturday evening here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. And you are very much up close and personal with the players. Actually, one of the nice things about this evening, I know we've spoken about Simon Adams, but Scott Campbell also stayed over. He didn't qualify. We also saw Tom Lonsdale. He was eliminated early on and stayed in the auditorium. That's one of the nice things about the Super Series. There's a real companionship around this tournament, and the players get the chance to mingle with supporters and vice versa.
Yeah, I think some of these players who were involved tonight, they want to see how the night ends. And some of them, they come here not even playing on Saturday night. They want to see the end product. And they're what the business world call completer finishers. And you want to be the complete finisher. It just so happens that it was Banks tonight. But I said in commentary with Phil that if you haven't succeeded this week and you stick around, watch the semis, watch the final, drink it in, and then make that stoke your hunger for the future to see if you can get that moment for yourself in the future.
Final word has to go to the champion, Thomas Banks. Now, he's got to be in action tomorrow in Aylesbury. He's got to get there for about 8 a.m. to register for the final round of Championship Tour events. How's he going to fare tomorrow? Does the adrenaline just course through, or could there be a crash? How do you think he's going to fare in those games?
Yeah, there could be a crash. In a lot of cases, there is a crash if you've got to play something so fast after it. But I sincerely hope that he just rides the wave of the confidence and crashes his way to the top of the rankings. I don't see why he can't do it. We looked at him from Wednesday to Thursday. We thought he's got a great shout of winning the group. He did it. And then he just kept going. So why can't he do tomorrow as well?
It's been great fun tonight. It's been great fun all week being in your company. Paul, thank you very much for now. We shall do it again soon. Thank you very much for your company. So what an evening we've seen here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. Conor Heahan came close to making it to back-to-back Champions Weeks, but it was Thomas who broke the banks to claim the jackpot. We'll see you on Monday.
Series 8 Week 9 champion, Thomas Banks.